Okay, get that out of the way. Okay. What a night. What a night this is going to be. I tell you. Stupid phone. Okay, almost ready. Hi, clean frame. Hi, Blaze. Oh, yeah. We want to do this in here. There we go. Okay. All right, folks. We're just going to let everybody have time to get in and get settled in. And we'll hope for the best. We have a rather nasty storm over our heads as we speak. And I don't know how my internet is going to hold out. Hopefully it won't get knocked out. That's why it's already darker in here than it normally would be when I start. Because we've got a really dark supercell floating right over this house as we speak. There's not supposed to be any tornadoes tonight, but it's Texas. You never know. You never know. So, we'll just wait and see if anybody else comes in here, or if this is going to be a dead night. I couldn't stream last week because it was my on-call weekend, meaning that, at any point someone can call on my work phone and say, hey, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. And so I tend not to stream on those weekends because of how weird it would be to be talking to you guys on a live stream and then have to stop what I'm doing to go help with that. So I just don't bother with it. Hello, Raymond. There was a threat of hail, but I haven't heard any hail so far. I've just heard rain. My area is supposed to be out of the danger zone in about 20 minutes. So I looked out the window at it earlier. It's a fast-moving storm. And there was some rotation. I could look out my front window there and see the clouds spinning. So, someone else might get a twister tonight, but it ain't going to be us. Because that part of it already went past us. Now it just looks kind of gross and overcast out there, but yeah. I'm hoping we don't get any serious hail because both of our cars are parked out there, and wouldn't be looking forward to that. Although I do think I'm hearing possibly a piece of hail here and there. But that just could be the wind blowing side stream rain and big globs of side stream rain into the windows there. Who knows? Who knows? But we're going to be getting started here in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we'll get into the fun of this evening. How's everybody else doing out there tonight? I pick a bad night to do this. Again, is there something else going on? Some big UFC event or something that I don't know about? I mean, I never do, but you know. Nobody's saying anything. Are y'all not watching? Did I lose everybody already? What's going on? Am I lagging really bad or something? Again, I can't guarantee the stability of the connection tonight because of the storm. You just saw the latest Blumhouse movie. What was Blumhouse's newest movie, Raymond? $7.77 from Darkstar. I dreamed that two women were piloting aircraft and they were firing homing missiles at me on the ground, but they were missing. I luckily dodged them. Ex-girlfriends, perhaps? It seems like you have a subconscious fear of being penetrated by a female with a sharp object there, Darkstar. You have a wife or girlfriend that has expressed interest in giving you the old Peggy Bundy? Wow. Wow. You have my condolences. Here's your $1 bill. Thank you for the donation. Clean frame. I'm still here. Good, good. No, I have no ex-girlfriends. I have a clean, empty rec. Oh, sorry about that one too. Okay. So we got 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go, and we'll get started here. Black Phone 2 about a bunch of folks at a campground. I haven't watched Black Phone 1. Tell me a funny story. Horse walks into a bar. Bartender looks at him and says, "Hey, why the long face?" Two more minutes. What, did it pass us by already? It got quiet out there all of a sudden. It got very quiet out there all of a sudden. Thoughts on Final Fight 3? You know what? I don't have Final Fight 3. I have one for the Super Nintendo. I have Final Fight 2 for the Super Nintendo. I have Final Fight CD for the Sega CD. I think I have that. But I don't have Final Fight 3. I've just never run into it out in the wild. And I keep looking for it at the cons, but I haven't spotted one. I did get Final Fight 2 at a con, though. Are you going to see the It Welcome to Derry show? I'm looking to try it out. What's good, 7th? It's been a while. Hi, Chris G. How's it going? I'm doing all right. We're about to get started. I'm playing Telltale's Walking Dead for my game club, and I can see why it won Game of the Year. I didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of that style of gameplay. They're just interactive movies to me. Anyway, it's Saturday, 6 o'clock, October 25th, 2025, and this is the 7th Cast. Greetings and salutations. I am your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is somewhere. He may show up in the chat tonight. He may not. That just depends on him. Oh, boy. So, we're getting close to the Halloween season. Halloween is almost upon us. And I have been looking and doing my usual thing of marathoning horror movies leading up to Halloween. I do the same thing with Christmas. I always load up with a bunch of Christmas specials and Christmas movies up until December 25th. I do the same thing for Halloween. And I have my staples, the ones that I always watch, like Exorcist 3, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Insidious, The Exorcist. I have a stable of traditional ones that I watch every year. I have been trying to add to it, but I'm not having a whole lot of luck, folks, because I just keep running into trash. I'll give you an example. One of them that was strongly recommended to me was Talk to Me. That movie was terrible. There was nothing scary about it. Absolutely not. The premise of it was stupid. It just wasn't a good movie. I didn't like it at all. And here, one earlier today I tried to watch, which was one that made a decent amount of money recently at the box office. I tried to watch Weapons. I turned it off. Why? Because one of the characters was so annoying to me that I couldn't stand to watch her anymore, and so I turned it off. That being the teacher that everyone thinks was involved in it. What an annoying, repugnant person. And that throughout the thing, as I'm watching it, that just seems to be like the underlying theme of the movie, is that every adult in this film is a piece of trash. And so I have to have when I watch a movie, I prefer to have characters that I'm actually interested in and that I like. And this one had no characters in it that I liked, and so I turned it off. I just turned it off. I didn't want to watch it anymore. So, Weapons, no thank you. So what I want to do tonight is have a conversation about good horror movies that you've seen recently, perhaps, that could recommend for me to watch so that I could, expand my arsenal of Halloween movies. Now, obviously, you can ask me anything you want, but I would like for everyone to just, make your recommendations throughout the show, and I can notate them here on my little notepad, and you can, state your case to me, explain to me why you think this is a movie that I should add, and I will watch it, and we will see. Now, let me catch up with the chat, now that everyone knows what's going on. Chris G., you already have a donation for $7.77. Yes, sir. And again, the usual rules, 3-hour cast can be extended by donations of that totaling $50, $100, $150 for a 6-hour stream. Everything that's being donated right now is to save up to cover travel costs to go to Billy's Memorial at Retropalooza in December. Retropalooza is not normally held in December, by the way. That's a rare thing. And if it wasn't for the fact that this was going to be Billy's Memorial, no offense to Jay, but I don't know that if I would go or not, because Texas weather, especially up north where they live, can be a bit unpredictable during the winter months. And so, my instinct is to stay home, but I'm going to risk it this time for Billy. And I'm just, that close to Christmas, and with everything that's gone wrong that I've had to pay out of pocket for, I'm could use all the help I could get. So, anything that y'all donate, it's going right into the pay for the travel expenses fund. Anyway, let's catch up with the chat. Have you played Streets of Rage 4 on the PS4? How does it compare to the Genesis games? I have played it. It's got this kind of hand-drawn cartoon art style that I didn't feel fit the series well. I would have preferred it have been pixel art. Gameplay wise, it feels very similar to the original games, with some additions to it. I haven't had my internet for 2 months, so I never got to ask thoughts on the death of Hulk Hogan. I don't think we'll ever get the real facts about what happened to him. There's some things that strike me a bit shady about it. And so, I don't know if we'll ever know the full truth of what happened to the Hulkster. But something seemed awful shady about it. What is your thoughts on Labubu toys? Don't know anything about them, aside from the fact that there was some weird little craze claiming they were cursed. That's all I know about them. I've never seen any out in the wild, but then again, I don't get out that much, do I? Seventh, would Sonic 6 have been better if it had been delayed? I don't know that a delay would have helped that game. That game was just. No. I've been doing a marathon too, but I pick movies that I've never seen. So far, my favorite this month has been Shopping Mall. Shopping Mall! Oh, man. A few years ago, Billy did a video on his channel talking about recent Blu-ray pickups that he had picked up, and Shopping Mall was one of them. He didn't think he'd like it because he doesn't like slasher films, but it ended up being more of a technology horror film than a slasher. So I remember seeing Shopping Mall years and years ago. This would have been probably when I was about, oh, I don't know, 12, 14, somewhere. I can't remember exactly when it came out. But yeah, it's about a mall that upgrades their security, replaces their security guards with these little robot dudes that, they look kind of like a predecessor to Wall-E in a way. And they have like saws and choppers and laser beams and all this stuff. And I guess you could say they take their job more seriously than the mall officials thought they would, because these robots just start killing people all over the mall. I haven't watched it in years. Now that you've mentioned that, J Chip, I may just have to see if I can find that one for El Cheapo on Blu-ray, since Billy recommended years ago buying it on Blu-ray and I never did it, so I might do that. If I can find it for like a couple of bucks at like a thrift store or a half-price books or something like that. Weapons is the best movie of the year. Too bad my politics got in the way. There's nothing about politics. She's just a totally unlikable character. That teacher character is annoying. Don't try to troll, Raymond. Don't try to troll. Today I watched Doctor Sleep and I loved it. That was just as good, as not better. I know, it's so satisfying, isn't it, J Chip? I have the director's cut, and it's fantastic. It's about 3 hours long, but it's so worth it. Weapons didn't have any flamethrowers, grenades, shotguns, bazookas, or machetes, so it was false advertising to me. Well, on top of that, I could tell where it was going. I only watched maybe 30 minutes of it, but I could tell where it was going. I don't know what the reasoning for it is, but it's pretty obvious that they're going for a witchcraft thing. There's some kind of witchcraft thing going on, and the teacher's a red herring. It's not her. And I was just, nah, I don't get into the whole witchcraft thing for horror movies. I don't find that shit scary, because I used to date a Wiccan and it was laughable. So anyway, Billy died. When did that happen? Billy passed away on September 18th. Chris, he around August the 22nd, he collapsed at his house, and he couldn't move his legs. And he messaged me and several others freaking out about it. and they took him to the hospital and they ran an MRI on him, thinking it was related to all of the back problems that he's had over the years. Well, it turned out that he had been carrying around a brain tumor for a long time, about the size of a Twinkie, and it was wrapped around his and pressing against um, his brainstem. And they were going to try an experimental surgery on him. Yeah, some kind of a. It was going to be a laser surgery of some kind, and he actually went to a week of rehab, and he retaught himself how to walk while he was waiting for the surgery. That's how strong of a guy Billy was. But ultimately, before they even had a chance to do this experimental laser surgery, uh, he went down again. It had experienced just a rapid growth, probably from where they had tried to do radiation treatment on it to shrink it before the surgery, and instead it had the opposite effect and made it start growing much faster. And so that happened on Tuesday the 16th, and he was already brain dead by that afternoon, and they kept him on a ventilator for 48 hours and then took him off of it. And he was an organ donor, so he was in such good shape that literally everything else that he had was pristine and went to save lives. But yeah, he's gone. Have I watched 1883 or 1923? No, I've not. I missed the Pumpkin Jack $5 sales. I'm crushed to not be playing it. I have Pumpkin Jack physical, so yes, everybody, please hit my like button. I appreciate it. Ooh, oh yeah, right there. All right. Yeah, right there. Thank you. Evening, 7th. Hope all is well. Hi, Vengeful Cowboy. How's it going? Man, I missed a lot since August 5th when I lost my internet. Yes, you did. You have missed an awful lot. It's been a heck of a time. Obviously, I was not a family member, but I thought of him like family. I've been friends with him for over 10 years. And we were both individuals that worked from home. And so, we would message each other back and forth while we were working. And I got to where that became part of my daily routine. Well, not daily, but it became part of my work routine because stopping what I was doing to reply to him or to send him something I found that I thought he would find funny, and just chatting back and forth about work stuff and dad stuff and whatnot, it became part of my routine and what helped give me little gaps in my work so I didn't get too mentally wrapped up in my work. When you're working, it's important to have little things that kind of break it up into chunks so that you don't get solely focused on it to the point where you end up like me and it becomes a part of your OCD. But he helped a lot with that, and so now he's gone and I don't have that anymore, and I'm starting to not be able to pull myself away from my work as easily as I was before. Is the best way that I could put it. So right now I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation for 10 days straight starting yesterday. And I know that sounds great to y'all, but I'm a little bit on edge because I feel like I should be working and I'm not, because it's up in here. Won't shut off. And so it makes it to where it's hard for me to sleep. And so I end up not getting to sleep till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I'm not waking up till afternoon, and that's not good for me either. It was not a good time, Chris, and it's for even though I don't feel like I deserve it because I wasn't, you know, his best friend at his side for 30 years. I wasn't his brother. I wasn't his cousin. It's hitting me probably harder than it should have. Anyway, I bought a PS5 going on 4 weeks this Sunday, and here's my review. I thought the controller was going to be bulky, but it's comfortable. You have to do BS to get a web browser, but it's there. 9 out of 10. Well, I've never had a real use for a web browser on a console anyway, so that doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me at all. But anyway, they still haven't held Billy's funeral yet. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not. I'm not. I'm friends with his friends and his family, but uh, it's none of my business why the funeral hasn't been held yet. It's not going to be a public event for all of his friends and whatnot anyway. It's going to be a small private affair. If there even is one, I don't know. But the event that's going to be there for us, for his, some of his family and his friends, his fans, and it's all going to be done at Retropalooza in December. So any of y'all that can make it to Fort Worth, Texas, on Saturday, December 13th, and Sunday, December 14th, please do come. I'd like to see you there. So, what other horror movies would do you guys think I should be watching? So far, we've had Chopping Mall, which I've already seen, but I haven't seen in probably 30 years. So, yeah. Actually, it's probably been closer to 40, like 35, 40 years. that's an old one. I think that one was made in like, what, 85, 86, somewhere around in there. Man, that one's going back, son. That one's going back. I think the rain has passed us already, but we're still hearing the thunder. Have you played Ghost of Yotai? I won't lie, it looks awesome. I know there's some controversy around it, and I don't care. Eighth has already beaten it. I have not played it. Eighth purchased it. He has it up in his room. I wouldn't buy it because I didn't care anything about the story. I wanted more about the character from the first game, but that's not what we got, and so I didn't care about it and I didn't buy it. Eighth bought it. He's played it. He said he enjoyed the gameplay, but that the story was crap. Boy, we don't have a lively bunch tonight, do we? What is going on lately? Are y'all getting bored with the 7thCast or something? Because changes are coming. Changes are coming. If I'm going to be able to start doing gameplay streaming, like retro gameplay streaming, I don't know if there's a way where I can continue to archive the 7thCast, but not archive when I stream gameplay. Because as far as I know, there's only one setting in YouTube, and you either turn it off or turn it on, which is where, archive the streams. And so the alternative to that would be that instead of streaming gameplay on YouTube, I would stream it on my Twitch channel, but nobody watches my Twitch channel, and that's why I stopped using it. So I don't know. but it may be to where I'm going to have to stop archiving the 7thCast, and if you don't catch it live, you just don't see it. I don't know. I'm trying to avoid that because I know there's a good chunk of you who watch the replay instead of hanging out live to actually talk to me, which kind of hurts. But those days may be over, depending on what I can figure out. Night of the Living Dead is a much watch every year for me and my daughter. Which one? There's multiple Nights of the Living Dead now. Is Retropalooza coming up going to be memorial service wake in any way, but a little more? No, it's not going to be like that. It is a memorial for Billy that's being put on by Jay. But first and foremost, it is a game convention that's just going to also act as Billy's memorial, because that's what Billy would want, would be for all of his friends to come together and have fun in his name. He wouldn't want people crying over him. He'd be embarrassed of that. And so, yeah, that's what it's for, is to, be there with him in spirit and just have fun the way we normally would at Retropalooza. Are you aware of the Shelby Oaks movie? That the Chris Stuckman thing? I'm aware of it, but I'm not going to the theater to see it. That's another thing. Preferably, if you're going to recommend a movie, don't recommend one that I have to buy. Make sure it's something that I can just find on, Amazon Prime or Netflix or Tubi or something. I ordered the Blu-rays for Host 2020 and the Babadook. Hidden Gems definitely worth your time. I've actually seen both of those. I was not a fan of the Babadook for one main reason. That kid annoyed me. That kid was loud and obnoxious through the whole thing. And I'm like, I wish the mom would just grab a switch off the bush and take him out to the public restroom or something, because good God, that kid just didn't want to shut up. Ah! 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 I got tired of listening to it. That was annoying. Then that's what I'm talking about. I can't stand movies that have annoying characters. And that kid just got on my nerves. I struggled to get through that movie because of him. That kid was so, just unlikable. Unlikable child. The 1968 version. Okay. I watched Vile Eye's video on Babadook. It was the first I'd ever heard of that movie. Well, I mean, it was an internet darling when it came out. Everyone was on the, that did reviews. Oh, it's the scariest movie ever. No, it's not. No, it's not. The Sarah Michelle Gellar version of The Grudge is scarier than Babadook. Come on. And then there's that movie on Netflix that's like a Spanish ripoff of The Exorcist. I don't remember what it's called, like Veronica or something like that. That movie's not the scariest movie ever either. That movie was boring. No movie where you have to read subtitles to understand the plot is going to be scary, okay? That's why, I've watched the original Ring, I've watched the original Grudge, and, there's very few Japanese horror movies that I've watched where I actually got a twinge of the creeps because I'm spending too much time reading the damn subtitles. I think horror fans shoved Terrifier Art the Clown down our throats. They were so thirsty for another horror icon, but the movies are just gross and gory. Well, that's what they're supposed to be, is gross and gory. Now, gross and gory was fantastic in the 80s. I mean, not every slasher film was like that. Most weren't. You had to go to more extreme elements of the subgenre to get the real gore in the 80s, but it was certainly there. It was certainly there. I like the Terrifier movies. I think they're funny. I do think the second one was a little bit too long. Yeah, I don't think that slasher movies, even supernatural ones like Terrifier, should be over 2 hours long. I think you're stretching it at that point. I think 90 minutes for a horror movie is about the sweet spot, at least when it comes to slasher type films. Slow burn haunted house movies and whatnot, yeah, those can be over 2 hours long. But slashers like Art the Clown, no, it needs to be about 90 minutes tops. Mm. Mm. Something special about 100-year-old silent movies and being scary like Nosferatu and the Lon Chaney movies. Oh, yeah, like, I'll tell you one that's spooky that Lon Chaney did. I think it was Lon Chaney, wasn't it? London After Midnight. Holy crap, that one is creepy. That one is creepy. The things that man could do with his face. Good Lord. A funny Halloween idea for me is to dress as a robot and go to a bar and see if the bartender kicks me out. Hey, we don't serve their kind here. Well, all right then. Well, all right. I do have a new Halloween mask, but damn it if the damn thing didn't break the minute I took it out of the package. It's a skull mask, you can see, and it's hinged, but the damn hinge for the jaw broke the minute I took it out of the package. It has this little silver clasp right here, and the thing that holds it into the joint snapped off when I pulled it out of the box, and it went flying somewhere, and I haven't been able to find it. So I've got this mask, and I can't use it because it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. Ow. See this, I could get it to, this doesn't work because this is supposed to be clasped over here so that when I talk, this moves too. But because it's broke, I can't do that. You know, I would have to sit here all Halloween night and hold it like this so that when I talk, the jaw would move too. You know, but I can't do that. And on top of that, that piece doesn't fit under my chin the way it quite should. So it's still, even if I was able to like hold it up there properly, it's still not going to move the way it should move. Screw you, He-Man! So it doesn't quite work, does it? But that's what I get for spending 8 whole bucks on a Halloween mask. So I'm just going to take this piece of crap off. Oh goodness. Oh, man. All right. That's what, like I said, that's what I get for buying an $8 mask on Amazon. Piece of crap. Piece of crap. You know, if you're going to get a Halloween mask, actually go to Spirit Halloween so you can pick out one that A, fits your face good, and B, isn't a cheap piece of garbage that's going to fall apart the first time you try to put it on. If only London After Midnight wasn't lost. I seem to remember seeing a version of it at some point. Maybe it was only clips. But I seem to recall seeing a version of it. Do you think there will be a physical version of Halo for PS5? I don't know. Maybe I've only seen clips of London After Midnight, like pieces of it. I don't know. I know I've seen images of it. The hell? Why does my phone keep making weird noises? Stop making weird noises, phone. Have you seen Coraline? Yes. 8th has it on Blu-ray. I don't think he has it 4K, but he has it on Blu-ray. I think there's a UFC event happening, so the usual 24 to 30 people are going to be watching that. Why is it... I don't remember UFC having an event like every freaking week. It didn't used to be that way, and now it is. Am I going to have to pick a different night to do this from now on? Because it's getting annoying. Do you think there will be a... Oh, you already asked. I have no idea. But there's a good chance that if they do a physical of it, Chris, that it's not going to have the whole game on the disc, and it's just going to be a license on a disc. Apparently, that's the case with the physical release of Outer Worlds 2. It's my understanding that maybe only 20% of it is actually on the disc. Claymation is an underrated horror niche. Speaking of claymation, I was watching The Adventures of Mark Twain. That movie has its creepy moments, like when they meet death. I saw that movie years and years and years ago when I was a kid, and I was fascinated with it at the time. I tried to rewatch it a few years ago and was getting bored out of my head, but there are some creepy moments in the scene where they meet death. That was interesting. Do you think Xbox will be the next Sega? They kind of already are. Because the next Xbox, I've looked at the specs, it's just a PC that's going to emulate Xbox games, guys. That's all it is. It's a PC. I mean, an Xbox branded PC that's going to have emulation tech in it for running Xbox ROMs. I don't know if it'll play the discs, but, we'll see. We'll see. So what else we got going on tonight? Anything fun? I have recorded footage for a video that I want to make because it dawned on me a few weeks ago that there's a new 2D Ninja Gaiden, there's a new 2D Shinobi, and there's a relatively new 2D Shadow of the Ninja. And I have all three. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to show some footage of all those, and not do a full review, but just like, a little bit of footage of all three, and talk about which one I think is the best out of the three new games. So that's what I'm working on right now. I have a feeling that nobody will watch it when I post it, but I'm going to make it anyway because, I'm having fun making it. The world's most powerful 30 frames per second checkerboard, as Black Bond calls it. I ain't talked to Black Bond in a while. I need to catch up with him. Having some homemade pizza. Ah. Noms. What do you think is your scariest movie ever without being cliche and saying The Exorcist? Steel Magnolias. No, it's hard to say because I don't really get scared at movies anymore, so it's hard for me to gauge. I used, when I was a kid, like when I was 10, I thought that the original Nightmare on Elm Street was the scariest horror movie ever made when I first saw it. But after I'd seen it 2 or 3 times, it was just, yay, Freddy. The last time I can remember being legit creeped out by a horror film would have been when I went to see Sarah Michelle Gellar's version of The Grudge in the theater. I went to see it by myself, and I was one of only maybe 2 or 3 people in that theater. And that was a creepy experience. Freddy Krueger should freaking sue the grabber for copyright infringement because that new Black Phone movie straight rips off the Elm Street movies. I'll watch it when it ends up on Shudder or HBO Max or what. I haven't even watched the first one, y'all. I haven't watched the Black Phone because 8th watched it before me and said that it was a boring piece of crap. So I haven't watched it. I tend to trust him in such matters. I tend to trust 8th on such things. Yes, indeed. Can you make a 7th prediction of how the Xbox exit from the console market is going to affect Sony and Nintendo? Sony is going to get really lazy and complacent because they don't consider Nintendo a legitimate competitor. And so they're going to feel like they have free reign to do whatever they want without any consideration of the customer. And they're going to pull a bunch of bitch moves that's going to piss off diehard fans. That's what's going to happen. What year did this Grudge movie come out so I can watch it? 2004? If you find the one starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, you'll know you found the right one. Because it was the only one she was in. And as I recall, it was produced by Sam Raimi's Ghost House Productions. No, it's not the Japanese one. It's a remake of the Japanese one. Came out in 2004. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Bill Pullman is in it for about 30 seconds. That's the one you want to watch. One of my favorite horror movies. I even did I did a video about it a couple of years ago. It's a ripoff of The Omen, and it's called Fear No Evil. It came out in 1981, and it's about a teenager who turns out to be the latest incarnation of the Antichrist. And the thing that I like the most about it is it has like some really, really 80s effects. And the music is surprisingly incredible for a low-budget ripoff of The Omen. The whole soundtrack's only about 35 minutes long. That's used over and over again for a 2-hour movie. But it's so good. And the whole OST is available on YouTube for you to listen to. So all you have to do is look up Fear No Evil OST, and it runs about 30 minutes long. And it's got some... I just love that soundtrack. It's fantastic. Got this whole... Dun 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 da 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 da. It's creepy. You just got to listen to it. So it's true that Black Phone 2 is a Freddy ripoff. Okay. I'll know that going in. Now, one thing I should tell you, because one thing that gets recommended to me a lot, I know not why, is the horror movie that came out about, 10 years ago now, called Sinister. That movie is not scary. That movie is a piece of crap. I don't know why people think that movie is so great. It's boring. That is an insufferably boring movie. And its direct-to-video sequel is boring too. You know, and I can get in... I have sat through slow burn horror movies before. But that one, it's just dull, man. I don't know why people love that movie so much. I am not a fan of Sinister at all. Ugh. You liked Weapons? I didn't like Weapons. I tried to watch it today, and that school teacher character just annoyed me so much I turned it off. I just didn't like her. I kept waiting for her to get killed, and no one was killing her, so I turned it off. I'll tell you one that I do like that other people seem to not like. It's a found footage movie, and it's called The Taking of Deborah Logan. I really like that found footage movie. Well, it's not, no, it's not really found footage. It's more like a fake documentary. It's a horror movie filmed to look like it's a documentary. And I really liked it because, you know, initially it's supposed to be about dementia, Alzheimer's, etc. And, my grandmother did not have dementia. She did not have Alzheimer's, but her sister did. And so I experienced a lot of that firsthand with my great aunt uh, when I was a child. And so, I guess that's probably why that movie is a little bit more engaging for me than it would be for the average person, because I've experienced how creepy, unintentionally creepy, people with those conditions can be. Because you can be like just minding your own business, pouring yourself a glass of milk or whatever, and you'll turn around and that person will be standing right there in your face. Didn't make a noise, didn't tap you on the shoulder. They're just standing there behind you, waiting for you to turn around. Probably because they don't know who you are and they've lost track of where they are. The Visit from M. Night Shyamalan Bad is good too. I thought that one was funny. I don't know if it's legitimately scary, but I thought it was funny. I had a good laugh out of that one. Uh, there's another found footage movie that me and Eighth like. It's about vampirism. I think it's called Afflicted. It's about a guy that it's about these two friends that go on a European vacation, and one of them gets bit by a vampire, and he's slowly turning into one. And it's again, it's all found footage style. Eighth and I both really like that one. Another found footage horror movie that we like is called Jerusalem, but it's Jerusalem spelled with a Z, which implies zombies, but it's not really zombies. It's people that are being turned into these demon creatures. I don't know how else to explain it, but the whole thing takes place in Old Jerusalem. And so the production value is through the roof because they go through some legitimate creepy places where they filmed this thing. And so, you get both the scare factor and high production value because they're actually filming in Jerusalem. And just for me, it's a historical thing because you're seeing all these cool places and stuff. It was neat. It was neat. We really liked it. Yes, I've seen Mickey 17. That was a funny movie. I enjoyed it. The Vigil was good also. Oh, I've seen The Vigil. I've seen I don't know if I remember how it ended, but I've seen The Vigil. That's the one where the dude gets paid to sit with the body to make sure the body don't get up and walk around or whatever. Yeah, I've seen that one. On a side note, I said last stream that I was going to start playing DMC series, and I ended up getting into Atlas turn-based games like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. What do you think of JR? Oh, I love JRPGs. I like them a lot. Uh, in fact, if you like those, Eighth recently, I know this is how this is going to sound, but just give me a moment. Eighth recently picked up the newest Digimon game, And whoever made that game really loved Persona because it plays just like a Persona game. So if you like uh, those style JRPGs, but you're also into like Pokemon type stuff, you might want to try out the newest Digimon game because yeah, it's when it comes to JRPGs, people are talking about it being a surprise hit. Seventh, have you seen House? Oh, Housebound. That's an Australian, either Australian or New Zealand horror comedy about a girl that she gets put on house arrest, and there's like weird, wacky stuff happening inside the house. I'm not going to spoil it because it's funny as hell. But you know, Empty Well here is right. If you've never seen Housebound, I wish I owned Housebound. I wish I owned Housebound because horror comedy is something I've had a love of it ever since seeing the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and all that from when I was a little kid to Evil Dead 2. I've always had a thing for horror comedy, and Housebound is fantastic, really really good. Uh, if you like Empty Well, if you liked Housebound, in fact, I'm gonna put that on my little list here to check the price for Housebound Blu-ray. I know I ain't gonna find it on 4K, but Blu-ray is just as good. If you liked Housebound, there's another one you should be looking for. It is available on Blu-ray, but you're not necessarily going to find it cheap because it's kind of rare to find, or at least it was when I found it. And it stars one of the guys that played one of the Hobbits. Can't remember which one, but he played one of the Hobbits in Lord of the Rings. It's a movie called I Sell the Dead. It's also got Ron Perlman in it. And it's kind of an anthology movie because it's stories of these two grave robbers uh, that live in like the 16 or 17 or 1800s, somewhere around in there. And it's like all the misadventures that they got into while working as grave robbers. And they're both like convicted to be hung. And so Ron Perlman's character uh, has come to take their last words. Like, he's asking them to tell him their story so that he can document it for future generations or whatever. And so the whole movie is like flashbacks to some of the weirdest stuff that's ever happened to them. And it's very low budget, but it is so fun. So if you've never seen I Sell the Dead, go find it. It's worth watching. I love it. Okay, Ari Aster has taken the torch from M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong and knocked it out of the park with all three movies so far. Ari Aster. I liked Hereditary. I think that's been the only one that's really that I've really enjoyed from him so far. I can't remember everything he's made, but Hereditary is one that I remember liking. What do you think of that Alien series on Earth? I didn't, lol. Maybe you should do a don't watch this. I didn't care for it. Well, there were elements of it I liked, but it didn't feel like an alien show. It felt like a show about, you know, uh, super kids that were, synth, hybrid synth people, and there happened to be a couple of aliens in it. That's what it felt. It felt like the writers were way more interested in the androids from Alien than they were the actual aliens from Alien. Thoughts on the death of Ozzy? I liked Ozzy. I was not a diehard fan of Ozzy, but I liked several of his songs. I thought No More Tears was his best album overall. And I mean, he lived a long, full life. I think he would have lived longer had he not lived the way that he did. But if he hadn't lived the way that he did, some of the music may not have turned out the way that it did. Ron Perlman's been in a lot, not just Sons of Anarchy, but yeah. Glad you liked Housebound. Word of warning, though, the one you can get on Amazon is a burned Blu-ray. No clue why. I just got a copy and was disappointed by that. It does exist on actual pressed discs. Well, I'll just have to be careful about that then, won't I? Thanks for the recommendation. I'll check it out. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be careful because, you can order something on Blu-ray and think it's the original thing, and then you get it and it's a Blu-ray R. It's a burnt disc. That happened to me recently. I went on Amazon and I bought what was supposed to be the 30th anniversary of this Canadian animated movie called Rock and Rule, and what I ended up getting was a burnt Blu-ray, and so I filed a complaint and ended up getting my money refunded to me because they didn't advertise it as being a burnt bootleg. The death of Ozzy killed King Cobra. Alcohol killed King Cobra. That's what killed King Cobra. A mixture of alcohol and the food hacks that he was doing. The way this here's the reality. King Cobra is not someone who should have been allowed to live by himself. He needed to be under supervision, because left to his own devices, it was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time. If you don't contact the seller, or the seller isn't Amazon itself, you're in for whatever that merchant is doing. Yes, and smoking. He smoked a lot. You have to see one battle after another. This movie is taking a lot of Oscar heat from sinners this year. One battle after another. What is that, Clean Frame? Is it a horror movie? I haven't heard of it. I liked Sinners, though. I mean, well, yeah, I liked Sinners. I mean, it's a ripoff of From Dusk Till Dawn, but it's a really good ripoff of From Dusk Till Dawn. It's certainly classier than From Dusk Till Dawn. One battle after another. I will look into that one. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. Hey, AKL Max, how's it going? It's the new Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, so it's not a horror movie. Never mind. We're moving that one from the list. This is about horror movies, Clean Frame. Horror movies. If it's not a horror movie, I don't give a crap, so don't recommend it. All right. Moving along. Trying to think of any other like low budget / indie horror films that I might have seen recently that I thought were good. There was one I watched on Shudder when it first came out. I think it's on Netflix now. And I can't remember the name of it, but it's a found footage style thing, and it's about a YouTube live streamer who for his stream he does crazy stuff on video is his shtick. And so for his newest thing, he goes and finds this haunted house, and he's going to try to spend the night there in this haunted house and live stream the whole thing. And it's just like the wackiness and the hijinks that ensue. And I can't remember the name of it now, but it was originally a Shudder exclusive, and I think it recently hit Netflix. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on just a second. Let's see here. YouTube. What am I searching YouTube for? Oh, let me see here. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's go Google. Found footage. Let's see. It's hard to type with this damn... I wish I had an arm so I could put this microphone on an arm. But every time I've ever bought one of those, the springs in it have gone bad, so it won't hold up the microphone. It just collapses under the weight of the mic. And so I haven't bought one for this mic yet. Found footage horror comedy YouTuber in haunted house. Deadstream. It's called Deadstream, and it's on Netflix right now. I think it just hit Netflix. Came out in 2022, and that one's really fun. There's another one that's also got the. There's another one, and it was about folks that they do a kind of a fake Ghost Encounters type show, which of course Ghost Encounters is fake, but they do that kind of a show, and it's like what happens to them when they encounter a real haunted house. I want to say the name of it is Dead Detectives. That one was a lot of fun too. Yeah, the Dead Detectives. That one came out all the way back in 2018, but it's funny. If you've never seen the Dead Detectives, I got a good laugh out of it. I thought it was funny, so check that one out. And even though this one's not a comedy, it's one of me and Eight's favorites. We actually went to see it at the theater. If you haven't seen Late Night with the Devil, you should check that one out too. That one was a lot of fun. Let's see here. Have you seen the Cabin Fever? I'm not a big fan of Eli Roth, to be honest with you. I don't really think much of his films on average. I've seen the original Cabin Fever, and I just thought it was so meh that I didn't bother. The only thing that Eli Roth has been involved in, to my memory, that I thought, okay, yeah, this I get, this was fun, was his Thanksgiving horror movie that came out a couple of years ago, his slasher film. I had a lot of fun with that one. That one is really funny. So I would recommend Thanksgiving if you've never, or Thanksgiving or whatever it's. No, Thanksgiving. It's not Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's the one with the evil demon-possessed turkey puppet. Which that's another one you should watch is Thanksgiving, because it's an evil, a demon-possessed turkey, and it's literally just a puppet. So that one's fun as hell too. But Thanksgiving from Eli Roth was a lot of fun, and I think you should watch it. Let's see here. Does the main character of Sinners have gun superpowers, such as never having to reload when shooting? I don't recall. I didn't count the bullets. Should I watch that Adam Sandler horror comedy, and will there be a sequel? You're talking about Hubie Halloween? I added it to my annual list, yes. But, be forewarned, it's a typical Adam Sandler movie. So if you don't like his Adam Sandler movies where he does a stupid accent, you may have a problem with it. So if you didn't like Little Nicky and you didn't like The Waterboy, chances are you won't like Hubie Halloween. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I have ever since it came out. I watch it every October. I haven't watched it this time because I think this time I'm going to wait until after Halloween night is over, and then I'm just going to, pour me a nice tall glass of sugar-free Coca-Cola, and then I'm gonna sit and watch me Hubie Halloween. I would do chocolate milk, but I don't want to have a sugar incident. But I really like that one. I'd like to have a physical of it, but of course it's Netflix. So, what was that movie with the cult that was taking over a hospital, with the two cops ending up being a cross between Silent Hill and The Thing? Are you talking about The Void? I think you're talking about The Void. That's an excellent movie. It's very H.P. Lovecraft / John Carpenter. Excellent film. If you've never seen it and you loved The Thing or In the Mouth of Madness or Prince of Darkness, some of the really more out there John Carpenter movies, or if you're just a fan of H.P. Lovecraft type stuff, you need to watch The Void. Sugar-free Coke, that sounds awful. Yeah, I can't drink it regularly on the regular Coke Zero. Can't do it because it messes with my kidneys and causes me to grow kidney stones. So I can only drink it every now and again. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be drinking like a big heaping glass of chocolate milk or a big bottle of RC Cola because I love RC Cola. But no. Oh, yes. 2 hours left, 2 hours remaining. We have had one donation of $7.77 for ease. For ease of calculation, I'm going to round that up to $8. Okay, so we are currently $42 short of extending the show by 1 hour. $42 short. And once again, any donations that come in tonight are going to help to pay for the gas, the food, and the Airbnb for Retropalooza in December. That's not going to go towards buying any games there because that's not why we're going. I will have, depending on when my December paycheck falls, if my December paycheck comes in while I'm there, I might be able to pick up one or two little things, but that's going to be it. I mean, me and here's how tight money is. Me and Eighth have agreed to essentially not have Christmas this year so we can afford to try to go to this trip instead. So, yeah. Have you seen the Snoop Dogg horror movie Bones? Long time ago. Don't really remember much about it. When you drank soda, did you? Oh, I love root beer. Love root beer. Uh, just about any kind. Doesn't really matter. Obviously, off the tap is the best. Like going to a old-fashioned soda fountain, they have the best root beer in the world. If you can find an old-fashioned soda fountain that's still in business, they have the best root beer. But if you can't find that, then A&W is good. Mug is good. Barks, which is my personal favorite, is good. Diet Dr. Pepper is probably the best taste. I love Dr. Pepper, but not so much the diet. But I can't drink the regular anymore. If it makes you feel any better, I don't ever do Christmas, but since you have a kid, it's usually a must. But since you guys can make that sacrifice together, it's really cool. Well, Eighth doesn't have a full-time job because he's going to college. And so instead of having even a part-time job, he has what's called a work study, where he's actually being paid, I guess you could say out of a portion of his student aid somehow. And so he works for the school part-time, and he gets like $600 a month to do it. So not a whole lot, but because of the fact that it's not a regularly paid job, but is more tied to his financial aid or whatever, he doesn't get taxed on it. So it's $600 tax-free every month, which ain't a whole lot, but for someone who already has most of his bills paid for him, thanks to me, $600 a month ain't too bad as far as fun money. And me, I had to, charge a lot of things to move here, and we've had some additional unexpected costs involved. Things that had to be repaired, things that had to be flat out replaced. And so, normally I would be clearing over $1,000 a month after taxes and bills. Now it's closer to 600. somewhere around in that vicinity. Now, come March, I'll get another raise, which will probably be about an extra $200 a month. So that'll bump me back up to $800. And I'm going to try to pay off some of those debts with my bonus money after I pay to replace this TV. And so hopefully I can pay off enough of them to get me back up to that $1,000 a month mark. And then I can try to focus on paying the rest of the debt off, because that's pretty much the only debt I have left, aside from, of course, the mortgage on the house. My student loans were all canceled, so I don't have student loan debt. My car is paid off, so all I have left is the mortgage payment and these credit cards that I charged up to be able to afford getting the house, because there was a lot of things. The water heater blew up, the air conditioner had to be repaired, the refrigerator had to be completely replaced. The dishwasher needs to be replaced, but I haven't done that yet, so we've been washing them by hand. I suspect eventually I'm going to have to shell out about $7,000 to replace the air conditioning unit in this house eventually, because it's 17 years old. It's a 17-year-old house. It was built, or 18-year-olds now. It was built in 2007. And it's a very nice house. It was very well maintained, but, air conditioners and water heaters don't last forever. Also, this house has solar panels all over the roof, but they're barely working. They're only selling back enough solar power to where it's only saving like $11 a month off my electric bill. So I've also got, at some point, to pay somebody to come out here and take a look at them to see if they're malfunctioning, or to see if they just need to be cleaned. I'm thinking they just need to be cleaned, that somebody needs to go up there and clean them. That they've probably got all sorts of smudge and stuff caked up on them, and that's preventing them from absorbing as much electricity as they should be. But it costs at least a couple of $100 to pay a person to come out here and do that, and whatever. How does deep fried ice cream work? I've never had deep fried ice cream, and I've never seen it made, so I couldn't tell you. Henry Weinhardt's root beer is the best. I don't think I've ever had that. Can you buy it at the store? That's one vice I never had, was TVs. I remember Hard 8 used to always give me a hard time on Skype for not owning a nice TV. Well, my thing is, when I buy a new TV, I don't replace it until it breaks. The TV that I have was purchased in March of 2017. So, it's getting on up there. It's like 8 years old. And it's getting now to the point where it will randomly power itself off. So I know that something's going wonky with the power supply inside of it. And so I don't know how much longer it's going to stay working. So I am planning on replacing it when I get my bonus. I've already picked out the model I'm going to buy. It's about $1,600. So I'm not buying like some, $4,000 top of the line Sony. I'm buying a 77-inch LG TV. Already got it picked out. I just have to have the money, and that's what I'm going to get. 7th, what are you doing for Halloween? I'm doing the same thing that I've always wanted to do, and I finally got to do last year. When we didn't start taking 8th trick-or-treating traditionally until we moved to North Carolina. Up until then, instead of taking him trick-or-treating through a neighborhood or whatever, we took him to Disney World, and he trick-or-treated at Disney World during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And let me tell you what, we would always end up with way more candy than we could ever eat, because we would stay the whole night until it was like 1 a.m. when they closed down. And at that point, any candy that they hadn't given away, they had to take down and throw in the incinerator and burn it all, because there's a big ass incinerator under the Magic Kingdom for such things. And so on your way out, Disney cast members would just walk up to you and hand you full bags of Halloween candy. And so by the time we would make it to our car at the Magic Kingdom, uh, we would have enough Halloween candy to fill the trunk of our car. But when we moved to North Carolina, our neighborhood wasn't good for trick or treating because there weren't that many kids that lived in our neighborhood, and so we would drive Eighth to this nicer neighborhood where we would take him trick or treating, and there was a guy that lived in that neighborhood who would do a haunted garage experience. And I just thought it was always such a cool idea. And I decided if we ever owned a house that had a garage, that I was going to do a version of that. A little bit more of a family friendly one because I mean he would come bursting out from behind a curtain dressed like Leatherface and scare the piss out of little kids. I'm not about that. So I use black light with black light posters, and I have corny Halloween decorations and light up eyeballs, and my garage has a bar, a wet bar built into it in the back, and so I have these cauldrons set up on the bar that each have a different kind of candy, and so it's basically a Halloween candy buffet. And I'll dress up in a stupid mask, and I talk through my megaphone that I used to use on the 7thCast, and we I have a Spotify Halloween music list and we have a big stereo set up in the garage. And so we just roll up the garage door, turn on the fog machine, crank up the black light, and start playing the music and yelling for the kids to come into the garage with my megaphone. And it was a big hit last year, and so that's what I'm going to do again this year. Weather grime happens to solar. People cleaning them is actually its own business out here. Probably is here too. Eyes Without a Face. It's me, Tokes. My new YouTube name is Eyes Without a Face. Uh, okay. Just so we'll know that that's true, message me sometime at some point on my PlayStation account from your traditional Tokes account so that I know it's really you. We were always asking where is Tokes, and it was always a question the last few streams over months. Hi, Stevie boy, how's it going? Man, is Darkstar going to be the only one to donate again tonight? Y'all just don't love me no more. I've given you everything I promised. You got your room tour. It was an hour long. Most room tours don't go that long. I gave you an hour. I've brought back Don't Buy This Shit. DBTS is back. True, I don't have the money to be buying crappy games, but DBTS is back. I'm attempting to make regular content again. I'm going to be setting up a members thing section as soon as I've got enough new content to feel that it's justified. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it to where I'm going to be doing like real life vlog stuff, just a day in the life of 7th type stuff, and only the members will be able to watch that stuff. But that's not the only thing you're going to get. You'll get membership to various other things too. But yeah, once I have that set up, I'm in no hurry to do that. It'll happen when it happens. But yeah, unfortunately, I spent over $8,000 on electrical for my upstairs kitchen since I'm an attic creature like Black Bond used to be. Well, all right then. Wow. That's a lot of money. I have some things I want to get done to the house. My master bathroom in the master bedroom, which isn't actually being used right now. It's basically just a guest room for people that want to come over in general storage. It has a great big super tall tub in it. And I have to like brace myself on the wall and lift one leg up over this thing and then hold on to something on the wall of the bath and bring my other leg over because of how tall this tub is. It's a ridiculously tall tub. And I want that gone. I want to have that removed entirely because I don't like taking baths. I like showers. and I want the whole tub taken out and replaced with a zero entry point walk-in shower that has a bench, but not cheap, not cheap. I also would like to have a sunroom built onto the back of this house, but I have no idea what I'd have to do as far as like getting that approved with the HOA or anything like that. I'd have to ask, what kind of permits I'd have to get. I mean, if it was up to me, I would just call up Redneck Chris and say, "Hey, how much would you charge me to come down here and build me a sunroom onto the back of the house?" But I know I can't do that. I know legally I have to, I have to get permits and I have to get approval from the HOA and all this stupid stuff. So I don't know if that one will ever happen. For life, I've been missing 7th live streams, been working Amazon, Flex, Uber, and Lyft. Good for you, man. Get that money. Gotta work. Ain't nothing else productive to do in this life. Yeah. I pretty much live to work. that's my thing. That's my thing. And I would like to be making music, but as far as a creative outlet, it's a lot easy. There's a lot less involved in creating a YouTube video than there is uh, using my home studio stuff to make a new song. And especially when my hands are starting to get so bad. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to even play guitar. And I'm having weird stuff happen to me lately. I'm I'm developing calluses in weird places where I shouldn't be getting calluses. Like I've developed a callus on the knuckle of my pinky finger right here. I don't know why I have a callus there, but I do. And it feels like a big knot. Like I've got a big knot on the side of my knuckle. And I'm thinking that that's a side effect of the arthritis somehow. I've got a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. I'm going to ask him about it. But yeah. I bought this PS5 Slim recently. Now I have a massive backlog with 25 plus games. So that being said, what do you do to complete a backlog? Do you try to knock 2 games out at a time? You're asking the wrong guy. My backlog is massive. I have almost 180 PS5 games, and that's just physical. That's not counting all the ones I have digital. So you're asking the wrong dude. Because I would say I haven't completed 50% of that at least. I would like to retire, but you know, stock market isn't an easy thing to get into. I should know. I used to work for a brokerage firm, and working for a brokerage firm, I ran into a lot of guys who were regularly investing and not getting anything back from their investment. Certainly not. Didn't have a portfolio that earned them big enough of a dividend to live off of. Absolutely not. That was more the exception than the rule, in my experience. From working for a mortgage, a brokerage firm, and seeing their clientele. Because what's retirement age in the U.S. right now? 76 or 67 years old. That's 17 years away for me, man. I don't know. I don't think I'll live that much longer. I don't think I'll be here in another 17 years. Don't think it's going to happen for me. Anyway, where's the horror movies? Y'all supposed to be recommending me horror movies. Where's them horror movies at? Come on, y'all. But, I don't have any. I don't want it to get twisted. I'm not using YouTube as a secondary source of income. This is my creative outlet. This is what I do for fun to try to kill off the monotony of my OCD. YouTube helps keep me sane. My buddy Anthony is not paying me to advertise Lucky Dog guitars on the 7thCast. I'm sorry, he's not. I mean, he did give me this hat for free, but yeah. I don't have a free Lucky Dog guitar sitting next to me. I wish I had a Lucky Dog sitting next to me. Those things are awesome, but I don't because, it's his family business. And even for someone who's known him most of his life, he doesn't have the funds to be just sending Lucky Dog guitars free to his friends. And the cheapest you can get a Lucky Dog is probably about $3,500. I don't have the money for that. I'd love to have one. I just think that it'd be amazing to have such a high quality guitar handmade for me by someone I grew up with. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I just don't have the money to do it. And both he and I had Robin medleys when we were teenagers. He got his like a year before I got mine. And so he knows why I like Robin so much. He still has his Robin medley from when he was a teenager. And so he has assured me that should I ever come up with the money, he can build me a Robin medley. Because, I mean, Robin is back, but, it's minimum $4,000 for them to build you a Robin medley. And I don't think it'd be the same. But I know Anthony could do it. I know Lucky Dog could do it. It's just a matter of getting the money to do it. What was your favorite alcoholic beverage? Mine was bourbon neat. My favorite drink of choice whenever I'd go to the bar was the Four Horsemen. Did you ever watch that Stephen King short story trilogy? One of the stories was a guy in a bizarre... You're thinking of The Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye. And the guy in the anti-smoking campaign was James Woods, actually. That's a fun movie. It's not a scary movie, but it's a fun movie. That was some of his more obscure, less popular short stories that went into that one. That's one thing I don't like about the town that I've moved to. There's not a half-price books here. That used to be where I'd go to look for Blu-rays, would be half-price books. And now I can't do that because there's not a half-price books here. I don't know why they don't have a half-price books here, but they don't have a half-price books here. Did you like the Stephen King movie series? Sometimes they come... No, I thought they were boring. I didn't even like the short story. Sometimes they come back. I think some of the best interpretations of Stephen King short stories is in Shudder's live-action Creepshow series. Several of the episodes of Creepshow, the new show, or well, relatively new, are based on Stephen King short stories. Like Gray Matter. Gray Matter is awesome. I love Gray Matter. So 7th is definitely a Scotch man if you like the Four Horsemen, which is basically a blend of whiskey, same as Scotch. More or less. Sad news, Tron seems to be canceled. What a shame, Tron area. Well, Tron has been canceled every time a new Tron came out. That's just the truth. So, who knows? Who knows? I think they should turn Tron into a series for Disney+. I mean, if they're willing to invest millions into that god-awful revival of Willow that came out a couple of years ago, that was so bad they removed it from the service as a tax write-off, so you can't even watch it now, they ought to be willing to give us a live-action Tron series. Creepshow 3 was not made by the same people, and it was direct-to-video. It's a piece of garbage. Don't watch it. Creepshow 1 and 2 are fantastic, though. Oh yeah, I saw The Long Walk or whatever that was, based on Stephen. Well, actually based on a Richard Bachman, which to be honest was worth a single watch. Yeah, I didn't like the short story, so I knew I wasn't going to like the movie. I mean, it's just making people walk, and whoever is the last one still walking is the winner. But of course, there's always a twist. That was just another one of his weird Richard Bachman stories, like the Running Man. If you've ever actually read The Running Man, it's almost nothing like the Schwarzenegger movie, aside from the very basic concept of it being a game show where you are being hunted while you run and you have to survive. That's the only part of it that remains. Tron Legacy characters seemed like they were going to return. Olivia and Sam characters with Ares. Yeah, it was a great setup, but nobody went to see it at the theater, so what are you going to do? Unless it becomes a massive streaming hit and they sell a bunch of Blu-rays, which ain't going to happen. That's probably the last we'll see of it, at least for any time soon. I thought the movie was great, and I'm not a fan of Jared Leto. I generally hate Jared Leto, but I liked this movie. What it felt like was a Tron side story that added somewhat to the mythos and everything, uh, but was not part of the main story of Tron. It's linked to it, but not an actual part of it. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the AI stuff. It's getting weird. I just had a big juicy New York strip steak, baked potato, and Knob Creek bourbon. Well, good for you. If you can afford all that, you can afford to donate to the stream. You know what I had for dinner? Philly cheesesteak sliders. That's what I had for dinner. And I make them in such a way that they taste more or less like a crystal burger. If you've ever had crystals, that's what these taste like by the time I get done with them. Do I think AI is going to take over humanity? Not really. $25 from Max88. Thank you, Max, for your donation. Been a while. Haven't seen you lately. How you doing? Let's get you a dollar bill going, Max. Happy almost Halloween. So let's add that on there. So that puts us at $33 for the evening. $33. Oh. So we are $17 away from extending the show by 1 hour. Thank you again, Max88. Appreciate you. Do you think people will fake an alien invasion? Well, there was a conspiracy theory for years that all of this stuff about aliens and alien abduction and whatnot was a psyop that was being set up so that when the rapture happened and all these Christian people disappeared, the government would be able to tell all the non-Christians, oh, no, no, no. Those people are all abducted by aliens. And that people would believe it. That's an actual conspiracy theory out there. Yes, I know that my donation banner's not working. That's because it's still configured for Streamlabs instead of Super Chats, and so it's not working the way it should. I'm trying to fix it, but it's been hard to get the time to do things. But of course, I'm off now for the whole week, so I will try to get that fixed before the next stream. Now would be a great time for a robots take over the world movie. I don't know, man. When you're actually living in a world where robots are a thing, I don't know that people would go to see a movie about robots taking over. Like if iRobot came out now, I think nobody would go see it. So Halo on PS5 still crazy. Tell me that when the Xbox 360 was thriving. Yeah, but you know what? I've seen some pictures of the new Halo coming, the remake, and they're making some weird decisions, man. I don't know how true it is, but I saw what was supposed to be a screen cap from the in production new Halo, and they had an ammo counter on the back of the Needler. With the Needler, you know how much ammo you have left based on how many of the needles are sticking out of the top of the gun. So why do you need a screen on the back of it showing you how much ammo you have left? Just weird, stupid decisions that are being made there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't foresee it being a good thing. And especially if the game's not on the disc. If it's going to be another game from Microsoft where, you know, it's just a digital key on the disc and you have to download the game off the server. If that's the way it is, I'm not going to buy it. Just like I haven't bought Outer Worlds 2. You know, I have no plans to buy it. It's not officially out yet. People are playing it with review codes. I'm not going to buy it because the majority of the game isn't on the disc. Are you checking out The Dispatch? It's a point and click about superheroes with a stellar. I've seen video of it. I have no interest in it. I've kind of lost my taste for point and click adventure games. The Telltale games pretty much killed my desire for those. So I'm unless it's like a remake of a classic one, like when they re-released Day of the Tentacle, I don't really care. I bought Day of the Tentacle because I loved Day of the Tentacle when I played it on PC as a teenager. Red Dead Redemption port for PS5 heavily rumored. Hopefully they put back the cut content. Wouldn't hold my breath. I mean, I'm sure it will eventually come out, but I don't know that they're gonna, make it into some kind of extended director's cut or what have you. Not really seeing that happen. I'll tell you another one that I've rewatched recently for the first time in a long time. Not a horror movie. Inner Space with Dennis Quaid and Martin Short. I hadn't seen that movie in probably well over 20 years, and I sat down and watched it the other day, and that one still holds up. Even the special effects still hold up because of the way it was done. And I mean, the only thing that takes you out of the fact that it's not a modern movie are the clothes, the cars, and the fact that people are still using old school telephones. Otherwise, it still holds up quite well. I had a really fun time with it. Sony exclusive keep leaking into the PC and Xbox side of things. I remember Pyro 2000X would always return games that went multiplat. They could be most favorite. You would drop traded in. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if he's still doing that kind of Spectrum stuff or not, but wouldn't surprise me if he did. Wouldn't surprise me at all. That's just who he is, unfortunately. Vince Gilligan's new show, Pluribus, has a trailer out. Looks interesting. I want to say I saw the trailer to that, but I can't remember what it was about. It's not ringing bells. Yes, yes, yes. How many of y'all have seen Terror Vision from the 80s? Where dude has like this new cable TV system installed and it starts like sucking in alien monsters from outer space and stuff onto their house and whatnot. I thought that one was really fun. Had Diane Franklin in it. Uh, was kind of sort of ripped off in the 90s uh, with a movie that John Ritter did where the devil sells him a new TV. I can't remember the name of it now. I'm sure all of y'all have seen it. That one's that one's more well known than Terror Vision is. But I think it was called Stay Tuned. That one was pretty funny, especially because it had like references to stuff that John Ritter was involved in previously. Like they make a reference to Three's Company in it and stuff. It's a pretty funny movie. What's Eighth doing? He's probably either sleeping or he's playing a game up there. I'm skipping X33. I'm just not as hyped as everyone else for it. I'll probably get it later down the line with like with Baldur's Gate. I haven't seen much of anything from the 80s. Wow, that's sad. Mom and Dad Save the World. No, was I've seen Mom and Dad Save the World, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. That movie's awful. I hate that movie. Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah. It's been over 12 years since a Sly Cooper game came out. I miss you, Sly. Please come back. Yeah, well, Sly Cooper 4 was kind of a letdown, so it doesn't surprise me that there's not a new one coming. Didn't exactly sell well either. So it doesn't surprise me that Sony ain't looking to invest any money in that series. No, I didn't play Ghost of Yotai. Eighth has beat it already. He bought it with his money. I haven't played it. I haven't played it. You know, Goonies was a hit, but it wasn't a massive hit. It most of Goonies' popularity actually came from VHS than from the theatrical release. You know, it didn't lose money at the theater; it made money, but it came out in a year when there was a lot of much bigger pictures around it that made more, and so it mostly became a hit from VHS. I never saw it in the theater; I saw it on VHS, and it also bred a whole series of like Goonies ripoffs. Uh, the two that come most often to mind, of course, would be Monster Squad, and then there was one called Ruskies. And Ruskies were about a group of kids that they find a Russian sailor washed up on the shore, and they're trying to get him back to his submarine before he gets arrested by the feds. So that was interesting, but yeah, it was called Ruskies. Not as well known as Monster Squad, to say the least. Then you had Space Camp, which was basically the Goonies in space. There was just a whole slew of ripoffs after Goonies came out. Did you mess with Outer Worlds? I beat the original Outer Worlds. I'm not going to be buying Outer Worlds 2 because the game doesn't come on the disc. It's just a license key and then you have to download it off the server. I'm not supporting that, so I won't be buying it. Yeah, that's something you need to rectify, AKL Max. Yeah, you're missing out on a lot of movies if you haven't seen that much from the 80s. I was born in 85 and my house that singer my mother loved that was on the TV VCR all the time to keep us kids occupied must have watched that movie like over 50 times easy. Oh, Goonies? I mixed on buying it. I heard the story's worse. Gameplay is good, but they should have kept story with Jin Sakai. Oh, yeah. That's what Eighth told me. He said the gameplay was really good, but the story was crap. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. That was an interesting title. It wasn't bad, but I didn't think it was all that great either. To me, it felt kind of generic. I mean, I know it was unique at the time that you could, chop up your enemies like that, but I didn't really think it added that much to the gameplay, to be honest with you. $1.50 from John Kratz. Thank you, John Kratz. Appreciate you. Thank you, kind sir. I'll give you $1 bill. Da 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 da. $1.50. Say it 5 times fast. What? $1.50? Or John Kratz? About $1.50. Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Oh, eventually, John, I'm going to start streaming gameplay, but the 7thCast for years and years has mostly been a kind of a weekly Ask Me Anything where I just sit and talk to the people that take the time to watch my crap. That's mostly what this is. Every now and again, Billy would show up in here, and he'd post, something about, ass eat or something like this, something obnoxious. One time I was making fun of Christmas Robotica, and he came in here and was defending his song, even though he knew it was trash too. Metal Gear Survival was garbage. Yes, it was. Thoughts on Ninja Gaiden 4? Any interest in it? 8th is interested in it. I have the new Ninja Gaiden side scroller, Ragebound. And while it's good, it doesn't feel anything like the old school side scroller Ninja Gaiden games. To me, it feels like that 2014 Strider remake. It feels a lot like that to me. You're always down to earth anywhere I see you. I had to check this out. Laughing at, yeah. Well, I was a mod on Billy's stream. He trusted me to take care of trolls for him, and I did that for a lot of them. I would help out with trolls that were attacking Eric or trolls that were attacking Wood, for example. But my favorite thing in the world was paying donations on Billy's stream and forcing him to play awful games. That made my weekend, because I'd pick something really, really bad, like Sword of Sodan or that Super Nintendo game where you're like a doctor that gets shrunk and put in some dude. And the first level is like cleaning plaque off of his teeth or whatever. And Billy'd be like, "Seventh, you son of a bitch!" It was my favorite thing. It was what made my weekend. And I miss that so much. I mean, I've done it to Jay on his stream, but he doesn't get as mad as Billy was. I made him play Sword of Sodan the other night, and he was like, "Man, this game sucks." But that's all he said. Whereas Billy would go off on this like full-on rant about how awful it was, no matter how many times I made him play it. Of course, that wasn't the only one, but specifically Sword of Sodan, he knew I was going to donate for that one if anyone donated for him to play UN Squadron. Because I hated watching him play UN Squadron. Because he was good at that game, and so he liked playing it on the stream because he could beat it on the stream. And so, but I had to see him do that so many times that I got sick of seeing it. So every time somebody would donate to make him play UN Squadron, I would turn right around and donate money, and it'd say UN Squadron tax, play Sword of Sodan. And he was 7th, you son of a bitch. Oh, man. All right, Mr. Seventh, sleep well. I got to go to my security job. Take it easy and please keep the streaming up as much as possible. Like I say, I want to start streaming retro gameplay. I've got all the hardware for it. There's just a few more things that have to be done on the software side, and I've got to figure out how I'm going to do it because right now my YouTube channel is set to archive streams, and that's because I know a lot of my fans they can't show up Saturday to watch the 7thCast, so they watch the replay later on. I can't do that with gameplay streams because my Nintendo and Capcom and Konami will copyright strike your stream for the gameplay music of 40-year-old Nintendo games. I'm not kidding. I'm not making it up. That's one of the reasons why Billy, with a couple of exceptions, would not archive his streams. It's like if you weren't there to see it, you didn't see it. And that's part of it, is because, Konami and Capcom and Nintendo were copyright flag heavy. And so I can't archive my gameplay streams when I do get them going. And I think that it's just one universal setting on your YouTube channel to where either you're archiving all of your streams or you're archiving none of them. And so if I start doing gameplay, that means I'm not going to be able to archive the 7thCast anymore, and a bunch of people aren't going to get to see it anymore. And so I'm kind of wrestling with that right now, trying to figure out how I can work around that. The only thing I can think of is to keep the archive going, and then the minute I finish a gameplay stream, I have to go in and delete the video for it. That's the only thing I know to do. Exactly, John. If I have to watch you play UN, you're going to pay. Exactly. Even though technically I paid for it, because I was the one paying to donating to make him play Sword of Sodan. Oh. Seventh, I want you to play the NES game Bayou Billy. Oh, I'm terrible at that game. I'm horrible at that game. I have it on here. I have it on my Polymega, but I'm not any good at that game. If you mess with your settings just for games, you'll have to put it back for 7K. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm having to research that now. Am I the only one who doesn't want a PS6? Is it just me? Should I wait till 2030 if it were? I'm not in any rush to have one. I'm still enjoying my PS5 Pro. So you're a good dude, Seventh. You'll be able to troll Billy again someday. Yeah. He's not gone. He's just somewhere else. It is going to be kind of awkward at Retropalooza because Billy always saved me a seat at his table, but sitting behind him where I didn't take up space at the table because he was the only one that would sit at the table. And then, Rob would be sitting behind him. I would be sitting behind him. And then next to him would be Eric at Eric's table. And Grindhead Jim would be there, which, Grindhead Jim is moving to Oregon, Portland, Oregon. So I don't think he's going to be there this year. He may be if he flies back out, but it's going to be awkward just kind of sitting back there and Billy's not there selling his games and his T-shirts and his autographed Blu-rays, and yeah, it's just going to be like Eric and Boogie, and well, I don't know if Boogie's showing up or not, but yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird Billy not being at the table and telling people that were buying the movie, hey, Seven's in the movie, you should get him to autograph it too. Because, I'm in the movie for like 10 seconds and I'm dressed up in overalls with a big bushy beard. And so I'd be sitting there and nobody would recognize me from the movie. and they would be coming by wanting to get the stars of the movie to autograph the Blu-ray, and Billy would be like, "Seventh was in the movie, you should get his autograph too," because he just wanted me to feel a part of it for my 10 seconds that I contributed to it. I mean, it was more than that, but he cut one of the bigger scene that I did. He cut it, and not just my part. He cut the whole sequence. It was a Eric dream sequence that he cut out because he decided that Eric's dream sequence with the gnomes that attacked the car was enough. He didn't need two dream sequences, so they cut the one that I was in. And so then he came back to me and he said, "How about we need a guy to play an American Pickers type character for a TV commercial. Do you think you could do that?" I'm like, "Sure." How do you? And he was like, "Well, you want him to be?" He was like, "I want you to do your Sarge character, but you're the host of a American Pickers style TV show." And I was like, "Sure, just send me what lines you want me to say, and I'll memorize them and I'll drive up there." And he's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "We don't need you to." We don't have a set that we could use anyway. What I want you to do is dress up your own house to look like a yard sale. And I'll tell you how to direct it, what camera angles to use, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we did. He directed me by remote to film that little scene. And it worked. It worked great. It worked great. He didn't even know when he wrote that whole line about I offered him $2 for the floating head. He didn't know I had an actual floating head and a crystal ball thing. And so when he got the scene, he just really cracked up and he's like, "You have an actual floating head?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And the last time I saw him in person, he snuck down to not this house, but the house I lived before this one. He snuck down to see me because he was he was in San Antonio for something and he was driving back home. But for whatever reason, he said he wasn't ready to go back home yet. And he asked if he could come by and just hang out for a while. And I said, "Sure." It wasn't the first time he had done it. And so he shows up and, we played pinball for a while because I had a bunch of digital pinball machines on this machine he was interested in, like the Munsters and Gremlins and Star Trek and Airwolf and all this other stuff. And I had bought him this 3-pack of Reaction Munster action figures as a gift, and I gave him those because I had been meaning to give them to him at Retropalooza, but it didn't look like I was going to be able to go that year. And then I asked him, "Hey, I showed him, here's the floating head that I used in my scene. Would you like to have it so that you could maybe autograph it and auction it off at the con?" And he's like, "That's a great idea, yeah." And so I gave it to him. I don't know what he ever did with it. I don't know if they actually auctioned it or not. Also, dude, your game room is impressive. Thank you. Appreciate you. I worked very hard on it. Well, 8th and I worked very hard on it. Mostly 8th. I just paid for it. Did you ever get stick drift? Well, I didn't pay for one thing upstairs in the tabletop gaming room. I did not pay for that table. The fans paid for that table. They donated the money to buy that gaming table up there so that 8th would have a nice table for him and his friends to play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff on. Did you ever get stick drift on a PS5 controller, 7th? Not so far. Not so far. I do have 1 or 2 PS5 controllers where the battery won't hold a good charge anymore. But I don't have any that have stick drift. 7th, did you ever meet Mike? I'm not falling for that one, Alien. Not falling for that one. Horror movie suggestions, huh? How about the Human Centipede? I've seen Human Centipede. I've seen all the Human Centipedes. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. Not enough plot there to keep me interested in it. It's like once you get over the initial shock, there's not enough plot to hold you there. You tried and failed yet again, Alien Magi. Which wasn't going to work anyway even if I had read it out loud, because to me that looks like it would be pronounced Rocheburns. So Mike Rocheburns is how I would have pronounced that. I love B-list horror movies. I do too. I do too. Especially funny ones. I love like low budget horror comedies. Like there's one out there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a horror comedy anthology, and one of the episodes are about the world being under attack by giant sperm. I think the movie's called Chillerama or something like that. And one of the scenes is a zombie story, but one of them is about giant killer sperm that are attacking the earth, and it's hilarious. Do I have a letterbox account? No, I don't. You're gonna get me next time? Yeah, okay. Here's what I think should happen, Alien Magi. I think every time you fail to get me, you have to donate $10. That'll motivate you to come up with good ones. Every time you fail, from now on, not that one, but from now on, every time you fail to get me to say a stupid name, you either have to donate $10 or I ban you for 6 months. Have I seen Dead and Breakfast? Was that the one that was a musical? And they did like a Michael Jackson song? They did like Thriller or something? If so, then yeah, I've seen that one. But no, I don't have a letterboxed account. I've had people tell me that I should have a letterboxed account. I just haven't done it. Yeah, I know Itagaki died, and yeah, I'm familiar with his games. McJuggernuggets movie came out today called Don't Dream About Me. Yeah, I saw the trailer for it. It looks stupid. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to pay to watch that. You know, if it was on Tubi, I'd watch it. I'm not going to pay to watch that. And, you know, I like Mike, Kid Behind the Camera. I like Kid Behind the Camera for the most part. But you know, the whole thing of working his dead dad into the story of McJuggernuts movie, that doesn't sit right with me. I don't like that kind of crap. I don't like how you know, Boogie and Keemstar worked Billy in as a plot point to their stupid lolcow show. I'm not happy about that either for the same reasons. It just doesn't feel right. It's freaking creepy. Laughing my ass off. No, I'll look for a digital copy I can send. It's a 2000s classic. I was I'm almost certain that I've seen Dead and Breakfast and that it has a musical scene that takes place outside in front of the house where a bunch of zombies spontaneously break into a Michael Jackson song. And it came out in the early 2000s and it was called Dead and Breakfast. Maniac Cop. I've seen Maniac Cop. I've seen Maniac Cop 2. It would be good to see your ratings of movies, okay? Boogie did King Cobra dirty also. All right. 56K warning. You mean solid Revlon. I don't know, John. I'm kind of weird like that, man. When it comes to movies, if I've seen it, I can usually give you a fairly concise synopsis of it, including just weird little scenes like that. If you liked Dead and Breakfast, uh, there was another one that came out around that time that also had musical elements to it, and I'm struggling to remember the name of it, but it had to do with a zombie invasion that took place during prom night, and there was a bunch of kids going to prom. Uh, and that one I remember being really funny too. And it had a couple of musical numbers, and it came out around that same time as Dead and Breakfast, but I can't remember the name of it right now. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. Horror comedy. Prom zombies. Dance of the Dead. It's called Dance of the Dead. That one is fun. If you've never seen Dance of the Dead. I'm just getting into Spawn, and I ordered the 1997 HBO anime that's meant to be super dark and badass. Have you seen it? Do you like? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have seen it. I used to own it on DVD way back in the day. And that's the one where Spawn is voiced by actor Keith David. If you don't know who Keith David is, he is the African-American actor. Just as one example, he was the guy that Roddy Piper gets into a fist fight with and they live. He was the guy who was with Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen in Men at Work, the one that talks about how there's very few sacred things left in the world, and one of them happens to be a man's fries. That was him. He's the guy that voices Spawn in that show. Thank you, dude. Looking up Dance of the Dead now. Yes, it's a funny one. I like that one. There's another one that you should look up that came out maybe a little bit after those two. And it's got that same kind of horror comedy vibe. It's called Freaks of Nature. The poster for it shows a younger dude standing there holding a bat. And that one, it has zombies and all sorts of stuff in it. It's a fun one. It has zombies and an alien invasion going on. I mean, it's kind of a wacky movie. Lots of stuff going on, but it's a good. I know this is going to be controversial because I'm not generally a big fan of Jeff Corden, but he made a movie back in the early 2000s. It's called Lesbian Vampire Hunters, and it's funny. It's really funny. And it's not lesbians that hunt vampires. It's guys that kill a bunch of lesbian vampires. So that one is funny if you can find it. I think it's available on Amazon Prime. My favorite Keith David is Captain Anderson in Mass Effect. Yeah, he was good in Mass Effect. I think that was him, wasn't it? Yeah. 7th, did you like the gory clay? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, guys. Hold on. One hour left. We're at the 1 hour mark, and let's see, because I haven't really been paying too much attention. We are $15.50 shy of extending the show by 1 hour. So if another $15.50 gets donated in the next 60 minutes, well, 55 minutes, then y'all get an extra hour of 7th Cast tonight. Anyway, let's. I'm having fun with this conversation in regards to horror and horror comedy and whatnot. Spawn versus Ghost Rider, who would win? I I know that there's a video out there from those guys that do the fight videos, and they had Spawn winning, but I don't agree. I don't agree because Ghost Rider, uh, he's kind of like Hulk. He doesn't really have a power limit per se. Uh, and after all, Ghost Rider has defeated Galactus, so I think Ghost Rider could defeat Spawn. So the poster is perfect. The '80s vibes were immaculate. Thank you, dude. Which one, John? Which one are you referring to with the poster, John? I've made a lot of recommendations to you in a very short amount of time. So, did you see the new movie by? I think that's a troll name, so I'm not going to say it. Halo coming to PlayStation as a sign Xbox doesn't have. Oh, Freaks of Nature. Yeah, it's total '80s vibe with the poster, uh, and I think you'll like that movie. I think you'll like that movie. Some of the vibe of it almost reminds me of that zombie movie that has to do with Boy Scouts or whatever. Can't remember the name of it, but it kind of reminds me of that vibe. But I actually liked Freaks of Nature better. It's fun. It's a fun one. You'll like it. Yes, I know you did, AKL Max. Uh, Alien Magi tries that on me all the time. So no problem, John. If I think of any other ones, I'm big on horror comedy. So if I think of any other ones, there was another one I recommended before you got on here, which is I Sell the Dead. You should check out I Sell the Dead. Earlier, somebody recommended to me Housebound, which is a great like Australian / New Zealand horror comedy. And I told them if you liked Housebound, you should check out I Sell the Dead. And that's one you should definitely try. It's really funny. Xbox fanboys are pissed at making YouTube rant videos. What else is new? What else is new? That's why I eventually got tired of that stuff and stopped watching it because, I mean, it just became the same thing over and over. It wasn't fun anymore. The last time I did anything console war that was fun was when I did the Reverend Seventh video on a Black Baron. That was the last time I had fun doing a console war video, which was a long, long time ago. Oh, that's another thing that I was going to do as a perk of being a member of the channel, was I was going to bring back all of my old console war videos that I still have. A lot of them have been perma deleted, and make those available in a special playlist that only members could get to. I'm winning tonight with these recommendations. I Sell the Dead had a decent cast, good movies to go into Halloween. Absolutely. And if you haven't seen Housebound, check that one out too. Are you a fan of Silent Hill in the atmosphere department? Yes, and I actually liked the first Silent Hill movie. I did not care for the second one at all. 7th, you missed my question. You was reading it but stopped due to the hour limit. No, I ain't. Oh, 7th, did you like the gory Clay Simpsons robbery murder YouTube? I don't know what you're referencing there. I haven't seen whatever that is. I did answer your Spawn versus Ghost Rider question, but the other one, Clay Simpson robbery murder, I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is at all. No, sir. Have you seen that one horror comedy with Vince Vaughn and Jonah Hill where there are aliens disguised as humans planning an invasion of Earth, and the only way to beat them was the twist and pull method. Oh, was that called Neighborhood Watch or The Watch or something like that? It also had the dorky guy, the dorky black guy from the IT crowd in it. Is that what you're thinking of, QB? By the way, QB, if you would like to see me do a DBTS of any other awful games, uh, I currently don't have the money to buy Mind's Eye. Hint, hint, hint. I believe you can get that for a little over $30 on GameFly. Hint, hint, hint. I like Tubi better than HBO Max. I can't say I blame you because Tubi has a lot of really low budget crap horror movies. And one thing that Billy adored was the Full Moon movies, the Charles Band direct-to-video movies. Like they made Puppet Master and Demonic Toys and Doll Man and stuff like that. My personal favorite Full Moon movie was a full-on rip-off of Doctor Strange that starred Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator, and it was called Dr. Mordred. I loved that movie when I was a teenager. I absolutely adored Dr. Mordred. And it's a full-on Doctor Strange ripoff, but it's fun as hell. Has some really cool stop-motion animation in it. It's just fun. I think the whole thing's available on YouTube. You could probably watch it on there. Do you collect statues or figures? Really, I do collect some action figures. I don't typically go for a whole set. It's just like I would like to have a Ghost Rider, so I go buy a Ghost Rider. You know, as far as statues go, typically the only statues I buy are the ones that come with collector's editions for games. And lately, those have become so expensive that I just don't do it anymore. You know, if you could still get good statues with a collector's edition for $200, I'd do it. But now they're charging $300 and $400 for these things. That's just too expensive. You can buy a whole console for $300. But the only series I've got that I've come close to collecting the whole series as far as action figures go are my Toonie Terror NECA figures back there. I love the Toonie Terrors. Scariest scene for me when I was a kid was Large Marge. Tell them Large Marge sent ya. Oh my God, you're not kidding. It's a straight knockoff of Doctor Strange. Absolutely, but it's fun, John. If you've never seen it, it's a lot of fun. And that's my personal favorite uh, full moon film. I mentioned it to Billy once, and he acted like he'd never heard of it. And I was like, you got to check it out, man. It's a full-on ripoff of Doctor Strange, but it stars Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator, and he makes a surprisingly good Doctor Strange. I am replaying Fear. Did you ever get through that game? I beat the first one. I never really played Fear 2 or 3 that much. I mean, if they would re-release that trilogy in remastered for PS5, I'd totally pick it up. But the original Fear, it's kind of bland, man, because it all takes place in an office building, so it's all the same gray walls and generic furniture. They don't break up the environment enough for me. So, that one was a bit of a challenge because it gets kind of boring. Seventh, it's called Simpsons Couch Gag. You got to watch it on YouTube. It's hella gory. I'll check it out later. Let me just add that note on here. Simpsons Couch Gag. YouTube. Okay. It looks like it could have fit into the lost 80s Fantastic Four film. Yeah, yeah. It's about that level of production quality because it's full moon. But it's a lot of fun. And it's only a little over an hour long. It's like maybe 75 minutes long. So it doesn't take you long to get through it either. So, if you get through it and you don't like it, you won't feel like you've had time robbed from you or anything. Da 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 da. I recently rewatched The Incredibles with Eighth. That's one of Eighth's favorite Pixar movies. Neither of us are fans of the second one because the second one is basically just a gender swapped reflip of the plot of the first one. But uh, we really like the first one. I know you're a 90s anime fan, but do you dabble in collecting English manga for your favorite? No, I'm not a manga reader. Eighth reads manga. Eighth has all of Berserk in nice hardbound editions that I picked up for him one at a time as they released. And he wants to do the same thing with there's deluxe hardbacks of Helsing that he wants. And that might, I'm looking to possibly get those for him for Christmas. And that's probably going to be the only thing he does get for Christmas because we've more or less agreed to not do Christmas so we could go to the con. If I'd had more time to save up for it and everything, it might have been a different story. But, it was obviously a short notice thing. I wish it was under better circumstances, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing my friends. Let's just put it that way. My buddy Brian already booked the Airbnb. I owe him $200. I got to give him $200. And then we got to pay for the gas and the food while we're going to be there. You've got the full line of Berserk manga. Cool. I buy the Blu-rays, of anime. I have some stuff on DVD because it's not available on anime or not available on Blu-ray. But most of my anime collection is Blu-ray. I've got all of Gal Geiger, and I've got all of Godanner, and I've got all of Voltron, and a lot of Super Robot stuff. I've also got some more risque stuff like a Rokusukadoji. I don't have the sequels to a Rokusukadoji, but I have the original one. I've got a lot of the Getter Robo stuff. Honestly, just being able to be with friends and family on Christmas is a gift itself. Who needs physical items? Yeah, I know. We debated whether or not to even put up the tree this year because initially I had wanted to purchase a new tree. The tree we have is over 20 years old, and I was wanting to replace it with a white one. But then this whole thing with Retropalooza came up, and so I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to have $200 to spend on a tree this year, so that's going to have to wait. And the one we have, I think, was damaged in the move. I don't know. We may put it up, we may not. Normally, when we do put up the tree, we move the futon over to the side, move the TV over to the side, and we put the tree in front of the window there so we can open up the curtain and the neighbors can see the tree from the from the window. But we don't have any decorations that we put up outside. Eventually, I'd like to do one of those things where I have like a projector that sits out there and just projects stuff onto the house. But I don't have the money for that right now. Seventh, why don't you in your live podcast post up short horror clips? Then we all give you our review because I don't want to get copyright struck. Did you mess with the Guyver? I've seen the live action movies and I've seen the anime. I haven't read the manga. Just call it a Charlie Brown tree. Not that far off, to be honest with you. Not that far. I mean, we're going to have to drag it in here out of the garage to do the haunted garage anyway. So once we drag it in here, I'll probably go ahead and move the futon and everything and try putting it up to see if it'll even stand up under its own weight anymore. Because we have to get it out of the way so that the kids can walk in and out of the garage. And I have a few new decorations that, I picked up El Cheapo at the Dollar Tree and stuff like that to hang up. Nothing super special, just little signs and things. Like I've got another little light up "Welcome, foolish mortals" sign that's different than the one that's hung up there. And I have these banners that have characters from A Nightmare Before Christmas that I can hang up in the garage. And I got some more blacklight posters to put up in there and some other things. Nothing that would really scare a kid, but just something to create more of a Halloween vibe in the garage. In my opinion, Perfect Blue 97 is perfection. I have it digitally. I don't own it physically. We have some anime on 4K. We have not much. We have Akira on 4K. We have Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust on Blu-ray, and I'm not 100% certain, but I think we might have the original Vampire Hunter D in a steelbook upstairs. I'm not 100%. I thought I saw it when I was up there, and maybe I just forgotten that I'd bought it for 8th or something, but I'm not sure. I'd have to have him go look. I may have been seeing, instead of Vampire Hunter D, that might have been where 8th had bought Initial D because he likes that show. And that's what I was seeing and not the original Vampire Hunter D because original Vampire Hunter D is out of print on Blu-ray. You can't get it. You can still get Bloodlust, but not the original one. Not unless you buy it secondhand. It goes for about $100. But it's possible that I might have bought it off eBay for him for Christmas last year, and I just don't remember. So I'll have to remember to have him go into his game room and look on the shelf and see if that's what I thought it was. Uh, but I don't have a tremendous anime collection. It's decent. It's not as big as I'd like it to be. Uh, I have some other stuff like Violence Jack, some a little bit more obscure stuff like that. I have all of I have all of Ultimate Muscle, which was like the second Kanikamon series as it was localized for Foxbox when 8th was really just a toddler. On Saturday mornings, I'd be off, and it would be my turn to feed him his bottle in the morning so that his mom could get some sleep for a change. And so on Saturday mornings, I'd sit there giving him his morning bottle while watching Foxbox. Before it became Fox 4 Kids, it was called the Fox Box, and they had a lot of it was mostly anime like Sonic X and Ultimate Muscle, and then after Ultimate Muscle was a show called Fighting Foodons, which I could not stand. The only thing that made me sit through Fighting Foodons was the character Fried Ricer, who would was literally like a kung fu dude that had a plate of fried rice for a head, and he'd run around going fried rice, fried rice, fried rice, and it'd make me laugh. And so that's why I would stay to watch that. But I was really there for Ultimate Muscle. I loved Ultimate Muscle. Like to eat my rice with lots of cow, cow, cow. It makes it really nice. I don't know how. It's my favorite form of chow, chow, chow. Oh, eat now. So stupid. It made me laugh every time. And I loved all the references to like the NWO and stuff. I loved that show. And that's why when the whole thing came out on Blu-ray, I knew I had to have it. What was the better character design, Fat Sonic or Skinny Sonic? I like effed up Sonic from the live action uh, Rescue Rangers movie. I liked him. Y'all don't. I bet y'all have already forgotten that movie exists, huh? The effed up live action Rescue Rangers movie. That movie was screwed up. I liked how in that movie Peter Pan was your stereotypical Hollywood child actor that had gone nuts as an adult. I laughed so hard at that stupid movie. I'm gonna have to watch that again. I'm gonna have to watch that again. It was a Disney Plus exclusive. It didn't have a physical or theatrical release, so a lot of people don't even remember it. But messed up Sonic from before they redesigned him for the first movie is in it, signing autographs. At a convention somewhere. It's funny. It's a funny movie. Favorite Michael Jackson song? Mine is "Off the Wall." Uh, huh. I'm old school. I probably have to go with Thriller. I probably have to go with Thriller. I mean, it would either have to be Thriller or it would have to be the entire Moonwalker movie. I also liked the song that he did for Captain Nemo. Can't remember the name of it, but I liked that song a lot too. That movie made me never look at Peter Pan the same. I know. That was like a really dark, unofficial sequel to Roger Rabbit. If you think about it, that's what it really felt like. Was just a really really dark sequel to Roger Rabbit. Beat it because of the guitar solo. I know AI is slop. I don't like it, but there's one video of Michael Jackson fighting in the WWF Attitude Era, and it's so hilarious. It's too real. I've seen a lot of those. I've seen a lot of those. Right now, the going meme is an AI series where it's some obnoxious thing being recorded on somebody's doorbell cam, and it's always like the same backdrop with the same houses in the neighborhood, and it's like dogs getting sucked up into tornadoes, and guys getting caught when a house explodes. Ricky Berwick shooting a machine gun. But it's all takes place on the same doorbell cam. Favorite things from the '80s that you miss? I miss the way malls used to be. And of course I miss arcades the way they used to be. I've I am a little bit older, so for me, it wasn't. I didn't even walk into a KB Toys or a Toys R Us until I was a teenager. For me, as a little boy, toys was either Kmart, Service Merchandise, or Lionel Playworld. Which, of course, Lionel Playworld was nothing but toys, and that's where I would go to buy new games for my Atari 2600 was Lionel Playworld, because they had a big long counter that separated the front of the store from the back of the store. You'd walk past the cash registers, and there'd be this long counter that was nothing but video games, and stacked in front of it were bargain bins. Oh, and Hill's Department Store. Hill's Department Store was a really big one for video games. I've told that story before, but I'll tell it again in a minute. But you would walk behind that counter, and then it was almost like what you see at Toys R Us. It was just aisle after aisle after aisle of toys stacked all the way to the ceiling. And that's where I would go to buy a lot of my G.I. Joe vehicles. Not that I had the money to get much of anything, because, my dad didn't make a whole lot of money. And so I think my allowance was like $5 every 2 weeks or something like that. Something like that. So it took me a long time to save up for a toy. Uh, and same with video games. But to the story. When the 1983 crash happened, I got I saved up money for my birthday. I had I don't know, $25, something like that. And we went to the Hills department store. And this was not that long after the crash. They had bargain bins right behind the cash registers at the front of the store, stacked full of Atari 2600 carts, new in the box, for 25 cents a piece. And here I had, $25. So with tax, I walked out of there that day with almost 100 Atari 2600 carts. A whole shopping cart full that I bought for 25 bucks. That represented the bulk of my Atari 2600 collection for the longest time. Now, I don't have that many Atari 2600 carts now. I have a little over 100, but I already had a bunch of Atari carts when I bought those. So to this day, my Atari collection is not as big as it was when I was a kid because of that day that I walked into that Hills department store. I loved Hills. You guys probably aren't old enough. None of you are probably old enough to remember Hills. Hills is where the toys are. You can go to YouTube and watch commercials. Every Christmas, they'd have this little dwarf, little person dressed up as a Christmas elf. And he would be talking about how great the toy department was at Hills. And it was pretty awesome until, you saw something like a Toys R Us or a Lionel Play World. But as far as like a Walmart style, Kmart style department store, they had a really large toy section. And that was the little jingle he'd say was, Hills is where the toys are. And they had a thing where you would go, kids could go to Hills and they could color. They'd give you a coloring book sheet of that character, and you could color it in, and whichever one was picked by the stores, the best one got like a little toy department shopping spree thing for Christmas. I think it was kind of like I don't think it was like the contest where you could that Nickelodeon would do, where you were given 5 minutes in a shopping cart to grab as much stuff as you could out of a Toys R Us. It was more like a $150 gift certificate or something like that you could buy toys with, something like that. But yeah, I loved Hills department store. I loved going there. In fact, my first Voltron, the Matchbox Voltron, the lion one that actually broke into its separate lions, I got it at Hills because Hills had layaway. And so, it took me forever to get it out of layaway, but I got it out of layaway. Actually, my dad got it out of layaway when my grandmother on his side passed away. I had made an awkward joke at one point because he didn't really like his mom that much, but I thought he would think it was funny because he couldn't stand his mom, but instead he got mad at me. And later on, he felt bad about getting mad at me. And so as a surprise, he went to the Hills department store and he paid off my my layaway so I could get my Voltron several weeks sooner than I was going to be able to get it otherwise. So that was really cool. The 80s were more peaceful. My favorite is MJ stealing a guy's chicken from a restaurant. Oh, it must have been an anime thing. An AI thing. How bad was Cool World? Cool World was terrible. That was a terrible movie and an even worse video game. I know this is underrated, but I liked Last Stand more than the first two because of the power of Gina Magnetti. I'm not old enough, but I miss those bargain bin deals. I was old enough to remember the NES bins. Yeah, but those deals weren't as good as the Atari 2600 deals. Inflation, yo. When I was a kid, I always passed those Atari era games because I thought they were 8-track tapes. I never knew they were games. We can wear costumes at work for Halloween. Do you think I would be sent to HR if I dressed as Fleece John? I don't know who that is. Tron from the 80s looks so cheap. Tron is from the 80s is good. I've got it on 4K. Don't besmirch the mighty name of Tron. He fights for the users. Anyway, we have 25 minutes left, folks. 25 minutes left, and we're $15.50 short of extending by an hour. Oh, and John, look here. I'm drinking out of my Game Chasers mug. When I do the 7thCast, it's the only time I actually use this. Otherwise, it sits on a shelf to preserve it. But when I do the 7thCast, I always drink out of this mug. These were sold. I think Billy gave me this one for free, but these were sold at the table that Tim's soon-to-be ex-wife would run at the cons, because she was the one that would sell all the glasses that you could get, all the custom Game Chaser glasses, and she ran that booth. And now that they're getting divorced, I don't know if they'll even have the custom glasses anymore. So I am glad that I have this now. I wasn't born in the 80s, but the 90s were sure better than today. I don't disagree. Favorite candy bar? Whatchamacallit would probably be my favorite candy bar. I like Three Musketeers, but I love Whatchamacallit. Not that I can eat them anymore. Why does The Last Stand get hate? I love it. My favorite. Because it does, it tries to cram the Phoenix Saga down into one film. That's really what it is. And the Sex Pest who directed the first two didn't direct the third one, and people were not fans of the guy that directed the third one. That's really what it was, more than anything. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't like it as well as the first two. I mean, there were some things that I really couldn't stand about that series. The biggest one being the way they handled Rogue. You never got to see a real Rogue. She was just the character that hated being who she was and whined and complained through the whole thing. You never got to see her flying around using super strength or sucking the powers out of villains, or you didn't get to see all of that because they didn't want to spend the money to do that. And so, of course, at the end, she's one of the ones that gets the cure. It's to me, that put a sour taste in my mouth for the original trilogy overall. And as far as Juggernaut goes, to be honest with you, I prefer the way they handled Juggernaut in Deadpool. The way they handled Juggernaut in the X-Men movies reminded me of the way they handled Thor in the Return of the Incredible Hulk TV movie with Lou Ferrigno. Similar enough to know that it was the character, but not close enough to where it really felt satisfying. You know what I'm saying? I do think it's funny that they briefly brought him back in Deadpool and Wolverine, though, just for him to get instantly killed. I thought that was funny. Y'all really haven't made that many horror recommendations so far tonight. That was going to be the whole point, was to recommend me horror movies I hadn't seen yet. And so far, the only horror movies that have been recommended to me is stuff I've already seen. What up with that? Shinobi 3 was great. Best game over music. The new Shinobi is awesome. If you haven't had a chance to play the new Shinobi, oh man, it's fantastic. Y'all really need to try it. It's great. It's almost like a Metroidvania in some ways. It's really good. It's really, really good. Sometimes I wish I can set the time to the 80s and go through the 80s, 90s peaceful and prices for calm. Are you interested in horror games? Not survival horror stuff. It just kind of depends on the game. You've seen a lot of movies, my man. That is true. That is true. I'm going to be 51 years old in a couple of months. I know you wouldn't know it from looking at me. You know, I know you wouldn't know I'm going to be 51 from looking at me, but I'm about to be 51. So yeah, I've seen a lot of horror movies. I have seen Teeth, John Kratz. I have seen Teeth. That's the one with the killer vajayjay, right? Yeah, I've seen Teeth. Oh yes, boy, have I seen Teeth. Should have just been called Cringe. I don't like X3 Jugs. They just picked some buff guy and told him to do a Russian. Yeah. Fears of Phantom, good horror game. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one. You know what's one of the best horror movies ever? Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. Oh, wait. Horrible. Sorry, I got my terminology mixed up. My bad. I do wish they would release that on Blu ray. You know, re release Kiss versus the Phantom of the Park on Blu ray. I'd love to have that. The only way you can get it is bootleg. Movie was so god awful. I can remember sitting as a kid watching it the night it premiered on, like, I think it was CBS. Oh, scariest game I've played was the Outlast Whistleblower DLC. I'm not a big fan of Outlast. I don't hate it, but I mean, it's mostly just running and hiding in lockers. I mean, and to me, that's what Alien Isolation was. Alien Isolation to me was Outlast with an alien skin on it. That's why I didn't get into it. I'd rather have a game like Alien Colonial Marines, only it doesn't suck. They should show teeth in health class. That should be the movie they show during Sex Ed week. Vagina dentata. Did you like The Conjuring? First one is good. Second one is good. Fourth one is good. Third one's kind of slow and boring. I think they're all worth a watch, but I think only the first one, second one, and fourth one hold up to repeated viewings. The third one, it's slow. Halloween 5? I don't think any of the Halloweens except for Halloween 1 were worth a crap. I mean, I like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but I don't like it as a Halloween movie. I think that should have been its own standalone thing that was not named Halloween 3. Sorry, 7th, I'm a basic bitch. Jaws, Deep Blue, Chucky, Elm Street, Halloween, Jason, Scary Movie, Leprechaun. Okay. No problem there. No problem there. That's all right. That's okay. Not everybody can be me. Billy and I would often debate over movies. I felt that one of Roland Emmerich's first movies, a little German film that he made called Making Contact. It was called Joey in the UK, but it was called Making Contact when it came out in the US. Used to, say around 1985, you could walk into any video store in America and there'd be a copy of Making Contact sitting there. I felt that that was an essential 80s movie, and so Billy, having never heard of it, ordered a copy of it off of Amazon, and he told me, eh. So, Billy and I didn't always agree. He thought that some real schlock that I wouldn't even finish watching was like the best 80s stuff. So we didn't always agree on our choices in 80s films. You know, I liked stuff like Making Contact and Buckaroo Banzai, Inner Space Explorers. But again, I liked some of the more obscure stuff like Making Contact, uh, My Science Project, less common 80s films that aren't Back to the Future and the Goonies. and some of them he was not a big fan. Like I love House 2, the second story. He only liked House 1. He didn't like House 2. But I thought House 2 was hilarious because it had the little worm that was a dog, and had the whole thing with the crystal skull and the old grandpappy cowboy rootin' tootin'. I thought it was hilarious. I own it digitally. I wish I could get it on Blu-ray. But for whatever reason, Billy didn't like the second one. He only seemed to like the first one. Anyway, we got 15 minutes left, folks. 15 minutes left, and we're still $15.50 short of extending the show by an hour. If that's something that interests y'all, that is. Yeah, Halloween 3 should have just been called Season of the Witch. I agree. Favorite Harry Potter films? 3 and 7 part 1 and 7 part 2. I like 7's part 1 and 2, but I don't like the whole long stint of where they're just hiding from everybody in a tent out in the woods. That makes it so boring. That movie could have been crunched down to one film if they didn't spend so much time with them hopping around, hiding themselves in the woods. I know that happened in the books, but still. I miss when Sci-Fi Channel would have its horror movie marathon and then its holiday movie marathons. Those were peak movie marathons. I remember when USA Network had a weekly horror show and a weekly kung fu show. You had USA's Kung Fu Theater, and they also had a horror movie one, but I can't remember what it was called. And then, of course, every Sunday morning you had USA's Cartoon Express. Billy really loved to watch just garbage schlock. I mean, they did a few, he liked watching stuff like D.B. Cooper meets Bigfoot and crap like that. That's the kind of stuff he liked. Now, not always, but, he got joy out of watching bad films with his friends. And honestly, that was them doing their take on Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst show, was what that was. And it was fun watching him. But man, he could pick some stinkers. He sent me some of those stinkers. I mean, those of you who watched the Game Room Tour, you've seen some of the garbage he sent me. Danger, Will Robinson, danger! Alien is the best indirect horror series. Prometheus wasn't scary. In fact, I think the first one is the only one that had any actual scares in it. You might enjoy 2004's B-horror Decoys. I loved Order of the Phoenix. The book was better for the set. I don't like Order of the Phoenix because I just really, really dislike Dolores Umbridge. She reminds me of a teacher I used to have in the 8th grade. So it just irritates me to the point of not wanting to watch it. You forgot about USA Network? Yeah. One of the reasons me and Billy would talk about USA Network all the time was that when his favorite TV show, Airwolf, got canceled, USA Network bought the rights to syndicate it, and then they turned around and made an additional season of it, but it didn't have any of the original actors in it, and it had really shoddy, horrible digital special effects because they didn't have the budget to actually film new shots of the helicopter. And so him and I would have these conversations about how god-awful that final season of Airwolf was. Lost in Space still holds up. I don't care too much for the original show. I thought the remake show they did for Netflix was pretty good, and I still like the movie that they made in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like 1998 or whenever it was. That's awesome, though. I used to watch terrible infomercials with my friends. We'd stay up all night and laugh our asses off. I remember one, John, that was advertising it was supposed to be punk rock classics. and like 80% of the songs they listed on there was new wave. It wasn't punk. Cracked me up. And of course, you had these two, had like this guy and his girlfriend dressed up as punkers, talking about this collection in the infomercial, and so much of it, there was no Dead Kennedys on there. There was no, the Cramps. There was no Mr. T experience or anything like that. It was all like Echo and the Bunnymen and shit like that. I didn't like Sliders, so I don't even know how it ended. I think one of the most disappointing endings of a sci-fi TV show ever was the ending of Quantum Leap. Sam Beckett never returned home. Never watched Star Trek. Do you recommend the old show? Uh, I like the version that came out a few years ago, where they replaced all the effects with CG effects, but the CG effects are made to resemble the crappy effects from the original show. I like that version. Billy disagreed with me on that, but I liked that version. Oh, absolute posers, John. Absolute posers. There was no Descendants. There was no Agent Orange. There was no one that you would expect to be in a punk rock classics collection, except for maybe I think the Sex Pistols were on it, and I think maybe there was a couple of songs from the Clash, and that was it. That was it. I mean, not having Descendants, not having Descendants in your punk rock classics collection. Come on, come on. I didn't even watch the Quantum Leap remake because I could just tell from the commercials that it looked like trash, and so I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. I can remember I had a routine uh, years and years ago. I can't remember the brand. It was called like Mama something, Mama Caselli or Mama something or other. Had a brand. It was a brand of spaghetti that came in a glass jar with a little pop top on the top, and you'd heat the jar up in the microwave, and the little top would pop, and that was when you knew it was ready. And then you'd pour it in a bowl and you'd eat it. And it had instead of meatballs, it had these tiny little things that were shaped like pencil erasers. But it was good. I'd pour a bunch of Parmesan cheese on it, and I would eat it twice a week. I would eat it on Monday nights when I watched Alf, and then I'd eat it Saturday nights watching Star Trek The Next Generation. And that was part of my routine. And man, when they stopped making that spaghetti, it almost made me stop watching Star Trek The Next Generation and Alf, because it just wasn't the same for me without having those jars of spaghetti, because I liked them so much better than any of the Chef Boyardee crap. I was just weird like that, yo. I was a weird kid. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Quigi, Origin of Evil, and Lights Out. I've seen Lights Out. I wasn't a big fan of it because that was a horror movie that relied too much on a soul gimmick. You know, oh, you can only see it when those kind of horror movies kind of get on my nerves. Uh, I don't know what that other one, Origin of Evil, is. I'd have to look that up. Let me see here. I'm assuming it's a Japanese film. Maybe I've seen it and I just don't remember the name. Tradition ruined. Yeah, I know. I know. Sucks. Sucks. I used to love going to the sit down, the dine in Pizza Hut, play Asteroids or Galaga or whatever they had in there, and pick a song on the jukebox and sit there and eat pizza with my mom and dad in those great big red cups that made the soda taste better. Then when I became a teenager, I actually worked in one of those, and when I found out some of the crap that went on there, I never ate at a dine-in Pizza Hut again. Oh, Ouija. Oh, I've seen that. That was a Ouija Origin of Evil was a prequel to the Ouija movie, and the prequel was better than the first one. Yeah. Yes, I've seen Hereditary. Hereditary was very good. I haven't cared for all of Ari Aster's stuff. I liked Hereditary. If Ari Aster was the one that did Midsummer, I hated that movie. That movie was garbage. Same thing with Lunchables. They were good until Michelle Obama pushed the Stop Childhood Obesity crap. I don't think I ever ate Lunchables. Those were before. Those were, you know, after my time. I had my lunchbox with my thermos, and I would have uh, a cheese sandwich or a ham sandwich that my mom made with maybe a little thing of potato chips, and that's what would be in my lunch. And eventually, she just got tired of doing that, and she would just give me however much it was to buy lunch at the cafeteria, and that's what I would eat instead. So, I'd get my little piece of square pizza or whatever, or my mystery meat sandwich that was vaguely shaped like a pork chop. And then the next day you'd get the chicken sandwich, and the chicken sandwich tastes exactly like the pork chop sandwich. Oh man, the 80s. The 80s. Yeah, I loved I preferred the 70s lunchboxes, the metal ones. But of course, they all get rusted over eventually. It's very rare to find one of those that ain't covered in rust. Most of the ones that you find nowadays are the plastic ones, which I had a lot of those too, with the little thermoses. And you got a new one every year. I had one that was like it had Disney's Magic Kingdom on it, so it had like the Magic Kingdom castle and all that on that. I had a Scooby Doo one. Uh, I remember I went to school with a black kid named Willie Moses. Willie Willie Mosier, and he had a 1975 Kiss metal lunchbox with the thermos and everything. And I don't know where he got it, but that was the same one that he carried all the way up through the 5th grade. Was that Kiss metal lunchbox, and I was so envious of that thing. Love those floppy chickens. Yeah, Lunchables were popular with millennials and Gen Z. Yeah, and we never bought them for eighth. We never bought them for eighth. Eighth would just eat. He didn't have a lunchbox. He would just eat lunch at the school. Whatever they were serving at school, that's what he ate. Last question, I gotta go. Do you think having better taste developing and evolving in movies is a real thing or an illusion? Well, I certainly don't think movies are better now than they were when I was a kid, if that's what you're asking. Or if you're talking about like your taste in movies changing over time, it can, but it never has changed for me. I mean, well, when I was a kid, I didn't watch stuff like The Godfather or Goodfellas or stuff like that. That's something that I got into as I got older. When I was a kid, it was all, horror and sci-fi and fantasy, and I didn't care about anything that didn't have, serial killers or dragons and stuff or spaceships in it. So I guess your tastes do evolve somewhat over time, but I can still watch the movies I loved as a kid and still love them, and it's not even nostalgia based. They just literally are still great movies to me. Like I could watch Dragon Slayer 1,000 times. I love that movie. Krull, could watch it over and over. Love Krull. Well, I'm sorry, folks, but it's 9 o'clock, and we did not receive another $15.50 in donations. So unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to say goodnight. Y'all know the rules. They're the same rules that's been going on for almost 10 years. So this is where we will have to say adieu. So be thinking about what y'all want to ask me next week. Of course, it'll be the night after Halloween, so I'll be a little bit tuckered out, but I will endeavor to show up and put on a good show for you. So come back and see me then. Same 7th time, same 7th channel.